I would like to announce Konji Rakisuke as an official leader of Class D. It's been a day since my encounter with Roku, a little nickname I made for Konji. Since Yuuichi won't be saying Konji, my face feels a lot better. It's still sore in some places, but it's better than I thought it would be. My body isn't in the greatest of conditions either, but it'll have to suffice. So he's finally helping. Welcome Konji. Katagiri-kun is surely something. He was able to convince Konji. Good vibes were everywhere. I thought the class would be a little sour due to my condition, but they seemed fine. When I arrived in class earlier, everyone was wondering why I had plasters all over my face. I told the class I had an altercation with Roku, but I said I provoked him, which was the truth. I spared them the details and just hammered into their heads that it wasn't his fault. Maybe everyone could become friends with Roku one day. Now that we have 6 leaders, do you know what that means? The class began to speculate. We're ready to attack other classes. Kiyotaka stated, answering Yuichi's question. Yuuichi and I already have a plan to ally ourselves with Class B. Is anyone in here against us doing that? Everyone was looking at each other and no one had any complaints. Is that Sauragi and Ichinus's class? Yes it is. Do you guys have any complaints? No one was upset by our decision. This allowed us to proceed with our plan. Chabashira-sensei was in the corner of the room with a smirk plastered on her face. She was happy to see us thrive. Now for people who are struggling more than most, Roku is willing to take over and tutor you guys. People started chuckling over his nickname. Are there any problems with my nickname? You should be grateful I'm even helping any of you. Still, he had his attitude. This caused the class to erupt and say stuff about Roku. You're all just jealous I'm better than you. He wasn't making his situation any better. Do we have to work under him? Ike said throughout all the commotion. Yes, he's an extremely high-quality student. You guys must follow him. Whenever Kiyotaka and I aren't here, you have to listen to him. I informed them, agitating Horikita. What are you talking about? I thought I was third in command. She asked me with an upset expression. You were, but Roku is just more qualified. Sorry Horikita, I tried to calm her down, and it worked, in a weird way. I guess I'll just have to show you I'm better than him. That's unexpected from you. She looked at me with a confused face. Did you expect me to throw a tantrum? I'm not a kid. She scoffed. Well, before homeroom ends, everyone here are your leaders. All 6 of us bowed in front of the whole class. To be completely honest, there were only 4 real ones here, if you wanted to be generous to Horikita. Harada and Kushida are only here because they're more involved with all the students in the class, unlike the rest of us. 5.2 Lunch had just begun, and I was about to make my way over to the cafeteria to eat with Ichinus, since she wanted to eat lunch with me. Unfortunately, I was stopped by one of my classmates. Hey Ayanokoji-kun, can I talk with you quickly? Matsu Krapachiaki, that was the name of the girl who stopped me. Sure. I pulled out my phone and texted Ichinus. I told her I'll be late, and she responded with a thumbs up. Alright, let's go. Once we arrived at an empty classroom, she began to speak. So I have something to confess. A love proposal. Go ahead, I'm all ears. Since the start of school I haven't been trying my hardest, and I don't know who to tell. She reminded me of myself. Why are you telling me this? I was genuinely confused. I've only talked to her twice since I've arrived here. You're not overwhelmingly nice or aggressive like the other 5. When we had our little exchange the other day, it stuck with me. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, you're the most approachable one. That's understandable. What's your reasoning for holding back then? I said as I slid my bum onto her desk. This classroom was a science classroom. They're mostly vacant, so it's no surprise it was right now as well. When I got put in Class D I thought that I should just accept my fate and half-but everything. Her mannerisms insinuated she was upset at her actions. But seeing you and Katagiri-kun try so hard for that so far gone class made me realize there still is hope. I understand I felt that way too, but Yuuichi gave me hope. She looked up at me with tears at the corner of her eyes. Thank you so much Ayanokoji-kun. I patted her shoulder, while she wiped away her tears. I understand if you won't allow this, but can I join your study group? Oh god. Why do you want to join? It's not like I can't tutor her, it's just that Irie is making so much progress with the one-on-one tutoring, that it'll hinder the pace she's going at. As we've established, Yuuichi is only proficient at English and world history. I want to join because I'm kind of jealous of the friendship of your group. Her face turned beetroot as she confessed. You said you were holding back. Where would you rank yourself overall in the class? Eagerly, she responded. Equal to Horikita, even in sports. But she didn't lie, that would mean she's one of the most athletic girls in our class. So if you join my group you can help with tutoring, right? She nodded. Well then, it's settled. We needed another girl anyway, our group was 3 halves. Her face lit up and she dashed over to me and hugged me. Her chest is bigger than I, though my thoughts are being corrupted. See Ayanokoji. No honorifics. Girls, how stressful. I muttered as I left the room. That girl tried slight emotional manipulation on me. She's quite something. 5.3 Ayanokoji-kun. An energetic Ichinus waved. Hi Ichinus. I placed my lunch on the table and took a seat opposite her. How are you? I'm sorry I didn't get to text you earlier. Ichinus and I text regularly. Normally she would leave a good morning message in my inbox, but this morning there wasn't one. It's fine and I'm good. How are you though? I'm doing well. She picked up one of the pieces of meat on her plate and then put it in her mouth. Are your friends mad at me for stealing you nearly every lunch? I shook my head. They don't mind that much, I'm with them practically all the time. A bright smile appeared on her face. Great. I love spending time with you, you're fun to talk to unlike most people. While she blurted those words, I could feel her beautiful sky blue eyes peer into my soul. How? I feel like I'm pretty basic. Anakoji-kun, it's not good to lie. She pouted. Okay, I'll stop. Yuuichi's jokey tendencies had started to rub off on me, I didn't mind it though. Good, anyway I've gotta go now, I have to do something for a senior. She stood up out of her seat and smiled at me. I'll see you in katagiri-con later. Bye. Bye. We waved at each other while she left the cafeteria. 5.4. It was after school now and we had our meeting with Ichinus and Soragi soon. After resigning people to Konji's group we decided to leave. This plan is working like a charm, Yuuichi said while putting both hands behind his head. Right now we were walking to the carry place in Kiyaki Mall. We hadn't reached the mall just yet, so we had time to talk. Yeah, it is. But when we reach class A do we have to fight Ichinus and Soragi's class? I was genuinely curious, the thought of taking them down didn't bother me, it was just something that piqued my interest. We might have to, I'm not bothered by it though. Don't tell me your emotions are getting in the way. No, I was just asking, I uttered bluntly. Yeah, whatever mister, I'm so cool because I only have one tone of voice man. Once again he imitated me. You think you're funny don't you? I retaliated. Yeah of course I do. He said with a big smile on his face. Don't forget we have to fix Irie's camera this weekend. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot about that. Yeah, I remember. 5.5. When we arrived at Kiyaki Mall, we saw Kaido Satin and Shinami Yuki talking. I wonder what those two shorties are talking about. Yuuichi cracked up at the sight of them. Maybe they're talking about who's got more toys, I joked. The sight was truly amusing, they looked like middle school students due to their small physiques. You know what's even funnier, Ike isn't that much taller than them. That's true, he was 5'3", while Shinami was 5'1". We'll get used to it, like how we got used to Ike. For boys these two were surprisingly small, especially compared to students like Sudo and Konji. Once they were out of sight, we continued our journey to the Karaoke bar. 5.6. Once we arrived at Karaoke we booked room 7 since that was the room we all agreed on. They hadn't arrived yet so Yuuichi and I decided to make ourselves at home. I bought a few drinks, while Yuuichi decided to take a nap. Sorry, we're late. Ichinus said entering the room first. Yuuichi shot awake at the sound of her voice, wiping away the sleep he had in his eyes. Yeah we apologize, we had student council stuff to deal with, Soragi added with a light awkward laugh. We weren't waiting that long, I replied. So this alliance talk to me about it, Soragi demanded. Taking a seat opposite me and Yuuichi, Ichinus followed suit and sat down next to Soragi. As you know this school is all about fighting to reach or maintain your position as Class A. I want to make this alliance, so both our classes can call a truce and help each other. This alliance will stop once one of our classes reaches Class A. Yuuichi stated. I like the sound of it and I know you guys are trustworthy. But I'm gonna need some proof that you guys are being serious, and you're not using our influence in class to propel yourself. Soragi has fallen right into our hands now. Here look at my phone. Yuuichi showed us the exam we got from the senior. That looks exactly like the test we took the other week, Ichinus exclaimed. That's because it is, it's also the answers for the midterm exams. They were both shocked. How did you even figure that out and how did you get them? Hiyotaka and I had a hunch, so we decided to go see if it was real or not, and long and behold we were. The guy was a hassle to work with, but we got there eventually. Immediately, they began to celebrate. With this, our class can get the full 100 points, said Ichinus turning to face Soragi. Are you guys going to take the deal or not? I asked them. Absolutely, considering this alliance made, do you want it in writing? Soragi responded. No we trust you enough, don't worry about it. Yuuichi chimed in. Yuuichi didn't need it in writing since he's been recording the whole conversation, it's unlikely they'll backstab us, but who knows. Since we're comrades now, would you mind if I called you by your first names? Yeah, sure. Soragi or should I say Shiho was very enthusiastic about this. Hanami nodded. Well he's Kiyotaka and I'm Yuuichi. Yuuichi put his hand out for a handshake, I followed suit to back up Yuuichi. She's Hanami, I'm Shiho. They both shook our hands sealing the deal. Now both of our classes are fused until one of us inevitably reaches Class A. I'll be looking forward to working with you guys in the future, Yuuichi said with a smile. He was especially smiling at Shiho, who he had developed a small crush on. I wonder if the small feelings he has for Shiho are similar to the weird tingly ones I have for Hanami. Oh? We should have a group chat with just the four of us. Hanami had made a good suggestion. Yeah sure, Hanami you have all of our contact info, you can make it right now. Yuuichi suggested. After a few seconds of Hanami fiddling around on her phone, she made the group chat. Once the group chat was done, we made idle chat for around 10 minutes, and then we decided to leave. We had agreed to reveal our alliance after the midterms. For now, we'll say Class B refused. While we made our idle chat, Yuuichi had sent the exam answers to the group chat. What they do with it doesn't matter to me. Hopefully they're smart enough to use the same method we're using. 5.7. After our meeting, we arrived at our dorm to see the Hole Anakoji group, along with MATSU crap waiting outside my room. "You're here, Kiapin and Yuyu," Haruka yelled while she ran over to us. She jumped on Yuuichi and he caught her. "Sorry for making you guys wait so long. We didn't expect the meeting to take so long." "It's all good," they said in unison. Once I opened my door, everyone took off their shoes and got all their books out. "Has MATSU Krappa told you why is she here yet?" I asked. "Yes, she did. You're really noble, Kiyotaka." "Noble? Don't tell me she lied to them." "Why yeah, Kiyotaka-kun. You saw that Chiaki was being left out and felt uncomfortable, so you invited her here." Irie explained. "I'll be honest, Chiaki does have decent manipulation skills. It's not the best, but it's working." "You guys are already on the first name level, huh?" I asked while sitting down. "She's a part of the Anakoji group, Kiapin, and you know that's rule number 1 of our group," Haruka said as she whacked my head with her book. "Well then, welcome Chiaki." Yuuichi did his usual shaking of the hand, and she accepted. "Well, now that everyone is acquainted, let's revise." I brought out some revision materials and handed them to Yuuichi and Chiaki. I assumed they knew about Chiaki holding back since they didn't argue about her being their tutor, so I just focused on Irie. "Irie, you've greatly improved since we started." It was our 3rd day and she already was above the average first-year middle schooler. This was great due to her only being the average first-year middle schooler just a few days ago. Thank you, Kiyotaka-kun," she uttered with a slight blush on her face. Her improvement was nowhere near comparable to Yuichi's improvement, but it was good enough for her to gap the idiot trio in intelligence. Talking about the idiot trio, I wonder how Horikita is doing. 5.8. And that is how an Adamaya Chu. The idiot trio looked at her concerned. "Horikita, are you sick?" Sudo shouted. "No, I'm fine, just sit back down," she said while folding her arms again. I wonder what that was about, she thought. 5.9. Around 20 minutes ago, I set Irie to another piece of work, which was harder than her usual pieces of work I gave her. It was around 2nd year level and she struggled with it a bit, but with a push she completed it. From this little exchange, I was able to deduce that she improves when the person gives her hints. She was quite different from Yuuichi, who adapts after being tested a few times on something. They process things differently, which meant they had to be told or shown things in different ways to learn. "I nearly forgot to ask you guys, how did the meeting go?" Akito asked. "It didn't go well. They said to wait till after midterms so they can decide properly," I responded. Everyone was a little upset by the news, but it didn't stop them from finishing their work. An hour went by and everyone had gone back to their dorms aside from Yuuichi. Yuuichi and I didn't waste any time and got straight into our work as soon as everyone left. This exact pattern repeated itself until the weekend came. 5.10. Bling. It was a text from Irie. "Kiyotaka-kun, meet me outside the dorm building at noon." Sure, is Yuuichi coming or is he doing something else? I could have gotten this answer myself, but I feel like being lazy right now. "No, he's gonna spend the day with Haruka." Chiaki said she'll come though a day out with Haruka, huh? They've gotten really close recently. "That's fine, see you then." Once I sent my text, I put my phone down and looked at my ceiling. After a few seconds, I realized I had a major problem on my hands. Due to puberty and my higher testosterone levels, I had a bad case of morning wood. Normally I would only do it once a week, but this week I've had to break that unspoken rule. 1. The skull bans you from using porn sites, so I had to use different means. How tedious. I groaned to myself. I opened my phone and clicked on my chat with Hanami. We talked regularly so naturally, she would send me selfies of her face here and there. How pitiful, first Irie now her. I realized how much of a degenerate I was at that moment. Irie's pictures were more revealing due to most of them being from actual photo shoots. Hanami's pictures, on the other hand, were far more simple. For example, the first one I looked at was her doing a peace sign with Shiho. I hate myself for this. I grabbed my lotion and got into it. While I went at it, I imagined how it would feel to be inside her. For some reason, the thought of being inside her stimulated me far more than anything else. It stimulated me so much, I exploded in only a few strokes. Once I was finished with my shameful act, I cleaned it up. "Maybe I have a thing for strawberry-haired girls," I said as I threw my kids in the bin. "I need to stop doing it. If I do it anymore, it may lead to addiction or even worse, depression." 2. I made my way back to my bed and sat on it and looked at both Irie and Hanami. The 2 women I had done indecent acts over and the 2 women I had decided to exploit. The question of who I would choose between the 2 of them played in my head a few times, but I decided to push that question to the back of my head and go have a shower. I'll answer that another time. Now I need to go get ready and meet Irie. Once my shower was finished, I dried my hands and then grabbed my phone. Surprisingly, Hanami had sent me a photo of herself. It was her doing a peace sign in her towel. Quite revealing, I mumbled to myself. Soon after, she sent a text. "Hey Kiyotaka, wanna hang out soon?" I just got out of the shower soon and bored. Shiho has a meeting with the vice president from the SC. Although this offer was alluring, I had business with Irie, so I had to turn her down. Before I did though, I decided to tease her and send a picture of me in my towel while brushing my teeth. Sorry, but I'm meeting with my friends to fix one of their broken cameras. We can hang out after if you want. After being left on scene for a minute, she replied, "Can I come now please?" Shortly after the text, she sent a picture of her pouting. If only she knew what I had done 30 minutes ago over her. I finished brushing my teeth, she responded. Okay, I have to meet them at noon, so hurry up. It was currently 10:40, so we had an hour and 20 minutes to hang out. I'll be there in a minute. You live on the 4th floor, right? Room 401. For a second I was a bit concerned about how she knew my room number, but I decided to push it to the side for the time being. Yeah, just hurry up. That was the last text we sent between us until I got a knock on my door. Coming, I yelled. I opened the door to see Hanami in a hoodie that looked like it could fit me, which made me skeptical. Are you wearing? Of course, you idiot, here look. Due to the hoodie being so big, she could have been bare down there and no one would notice. She lifted hoodie revealing her shorts, which looked tight on her. They interestingly hugged her thighs. The part that caught me by surprise was the fact I could see her bum through her thigh gap. This was not possible to do unless you're genetically gifted or you genuinely put hours into the gym. The only other girl I've seen with this is Horikita. It's no secret that she works out and has amazing genetics though. After I completed my pervert analysis, I responded. Ah, I see. Not wasting another moment outside, she made her way into my room, took off her shoes, and then made her way over to my bed and sat on it. Do you want something to drink? She shook her head. I had something to eat and drink before I came here, don't worry. Her smile was so beautiful. I decided to join her on the bed and sat next to her. Well, do you want to watch something or talk? She looked at the floor and then back to me. Neither. Can I cuddle with you for a sec? This would be the second time she had visited my room. Last time she didn't ask to cuddle though. Isn't that what couples would do? Her cheeks suddenly became beet red. Well yeah, but I just want someone to hold me right now. She mumbled. Why would you want me to comfort you? I'm pretty sure there are many other people who can do that better than me. I said, looking away from her. Kitaka-kun, that's not true. You're reliable and so calm. I just thought if I was to cuddle with you, you could calm me down. I didn't expect her to use my first name, and what does she mean by calm her down? What are you upset or angry about? She looked down at the floor. Something was definitely wrong with her. Student council things. She said, fiddling with her hair. Oh, I see. Is the paperwork too much or something? She continued to look down. No, it's something else. What else could the student council members be worried about? Are you gonna get kicked off the student council? She shook her head again. Kiyotaka, you don't need to know the reason, just hold me. She had finally looked up at me, tears were streaming down her face. Her voice was oddly forceful. I decided to stop asking questions and embrace her as requested. Lay down, Kiyotaka, and get in the bed. I want us to cuddle while laying down. She wasn't acting like the Hanami I knew. Something seriously bad must have happened. Once we slid into my bed, she instantly grabbed me and squeezed me. She started to sob into my chest. It reminded me of the kids who were too weak to survive the White Room. Kiyotaka, I hate it, she screamed. I tried to calm her down by patting her head, but it only got worse. Why, I'm nice to them and they take advantage of it. Someone had finally used her friendly nature against her. I felt so weak. Why would he do that? 1. Hanami, explain to me what happened. I decided to use her first name since she used mine. A senpai sniff took advantage of me. At this point I was certain she had been raped. When did this happen? Her cries only got louder while she squeezed me. For some odd reason, I wanted to track the person down and deal with them myself. Out of the many people here I've socialized with, Hanami has to be one of the very few I honestly care about. Although I knew I did care about her, I didn't know I would get the urge to seek revenge for her. Yesterday, I was so scared sniff I couldn't move. Hanami, it's fine, you can cry as much as you want. If she were anyone else, I would have used this as the perfect opportunity to manipulate them, but instead I decided to help her. Kiyotaka, sniff, I didn't want it to happen, it was all so sudden. My main question was why did they attack her and not some other girl? Hanami, I'll never blame you, you were forced against your will. You're so nice to me, sniff Kiyotaka, my first time should have been with you and not that creep. Her statement shocked me. I was so taken aback I didn't know how to respond. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. You probably think I'm a tramp now. Hahaha. I don't think that at all. I was just shocked by your statement. You don't need to worry. I still see you as the innocent Hanami you were before. After hearing what I had to say, she came up to my face. Her breath directly hit my lips while we stared into each other's eyes. It felt like an hour went by, but it was only a few seconds. Once those few seconds were up, she planted her lips onto mine. 20 seconds. Our kiss lasted for 20 seconds. Kiyotaka, I know this may be a lot to ask for, but please, can you make me forget about last night? I want you to make me forget it even existed. I want you inside me. From the tone of her voice and expressions, I could tell she wanted me to have my way with her, but I wasn't gonna do that. Right now isn't the right time. Further solidifying her statements, she took off her hoodie, which revealed a white bra, but more importantly, her battered body. "We can't, Hanami," I said, as I pushed her away. "If you want to get over what has just happened, you have to accept what happened and move forward. If I were to listen to you now and have sex with you, you'll only regret it later." Even after my logical speech, she still continued with her plan. Before I could react, her hand was already in my pants. Her slender fingers trailed above my T-Rex. Immediately, it woke up and sprung into her palm. "Kiyotaka, don't worry, this is the right way. I love you anyway, so I'm willing to do this." "No, stop." I took her hand out of my pants and grabbed her jaw. When I looked into her eyes, I saw how broken she was. She needed to heal. "Hanami, stop this. As I've said, this isn't the right way. You need to get over this before we ever think of having sex." This wasn't a complete shutdown, but it was enough to make her realize. "I'm so sorry, Kiyotaka." Tears started to stream down her face as she dug her face into my chest. I don't know whether it was my male instincts, or it was the fact I had taken a liking to her, but I felt empowered when she held me. "Is this my first taste of love?" I murmured to myself. "Huh? I didn't hear you." She was looking up at me confused. Once again we were facing each other directly. Our eyes met once again, but this time we didn't move. "Your eyes are so pretty. Your eyes are definitely better than mine." I retaliated. "I know this is sudden, but you have a really big you-know-what." She was referring to my mini-soldier. "Is it really that big?" I asked. "Yes. If I was to compare yours to that guy's, it would be like comparing an ant to a dragon. I'm glad I don't have an overinflated ego like Konji, because if I did it would be a serious problem. A few weeks ago when I saw Yuuichi's soldier I noticed we were the exact same, so I thought mine was nothing special." "I see." She smiled and then kissed me. Her actions only got bolder. "Kiyotaka, earlier you heard me say I love you, but that was filled with lust, and it didn't come from the heart, so this time I want to say it from the heart." She took a deep breath and said, "I love you, Kiyotaka. I've fallen madly in love with you." Once she was finished, she rammed her face into my chest. To be honest, I didn't manipulate her. I may have done a few minor things, but these feelings were natural. I originally thought love was achieved through manipulation, but now I know it can be achieved through different means. If the small warm fuzzy feeling I have in my chest is love, then I love you too. It may not be as large as yours, but I do love you. The feeling wasn't overbearing, nor was it unnoticeable. It just felt small, warm and fuzzy. I had come to the conclusion the feeling I felt for her was love when she spoke those words to me. The small feeling I had in my chest pulsated, which made my heart flutter. I didn't expect to find love so early on, but the combination of us spending a lot of time together and her breaking down in front of me gave me that final push. "Really? Why yes. Hanami yelled as she hugged me tightly. When I hugged her back, she flinched due to the bruises she had but didn't complain. "Are you sure you're fine with me? I'm already ruined, you know. I don't care about it. I'll be the one to truly take your first time. You're the best boyfriend ever." "Boyfriend? Oh, I guess when two people confess to each other that makes them girlfriend and boyfriend. I think boyfriend is a little too much at the moment. Why don't we start off as something more than friends, and then grow into the relationship title?" "Sure, I'm fine with that. As long as you're mine I don't mind." She giggled. "She's very clingy." "Bling, is that?" she asked while her eyes peered into my soul. "It's probably Irie. I'm going with her to the camera shop." Before I could get up and grab my phone, she grabbed it. "So why does it say Chiaki?" Her expression and tone of voice told me she was mad. It was weird how quickly she shifted from innocent happy-go-lucky Hanami to angry girlfriend Hanami. It stunned me for a moment, to be honest. "You know Chiaki Hanami, she's the brown-haired girl in my group," I replied. "I know I was joking with you. Anyway, I'm coming with you." When I checked the time I was surprised. It was 11:57 a.m., which meant we only had a few minutes to get ready and meet them. "Alright, let's get ready then." She looked pretty determined. "Alright." I began to put on my clothes while she put back on her hoodie. While changing, a question appeared in my head, and it was a pretty important one. "Hanami, who attacked you?" Now that we're in a partial relationship, I felt the need to do something about this situation. Nagumo Miyabi. Nagumo Miyabi, I had heard of him before. If you're thinking about beating him up or anything, I would advise against it. He's close friends with the senpai on the student council. He's in a high position too, so his influence is quite big. "Sorry, Hanami, I had already made up my mind." I wouldn't, don't worry. Anyway, let's get going now. 5.11. We had met up with Chiaki and Irie. They seemed surprised to see us together, but didn't question it. As we closed in on the store, I noticed Irie became more jittery and shaky. "Are you alright, Irie?" "Yeah, I'm fine," she stuttered. Once I moved away from her, Hanami tapped me on the shoulder and signaled for me to slow down, so I could talk to her without them hearing. "I have something to tell you later. It's a secret about myself." I nodded in response. "Sure, okay. Also, the last thing, what does Nagumo look like?" At the mention of his name, she stopped but continued to walk after a brief pause. "He's blonde and around your height. He wouldn't be hard to find. There are only so many blondes in this school." 5.12 When we arrived at the camera store, we found a creepy employee waiting at the desk. Hi, my friend here would like to fix her camera. Irie had already given me the camera, so I handed it to him. Did you buy it on campus? He asked. Irie didn't have the confidence to face him, or I should say she doesn't want to face him. I wonder what the relationship between them is like. No, I didn't. Well, let's see if we have a model similar to it so we can repair it, okay? Before I leave, I must know what's on the circa. Can you please go and get the other camera? My friend is clearly nervous and doesn't want to deal with you any longer. Dang pervert. Hanami stated. I was shocked by her choice of words. It seems like she's still on edge after what happened last night. To hurry the guy up, she slammed her hand onto the table. Oh, okay. Not wasting another moment, the guy rushed off and came back many moments later with a camera similar to Irie's. It seems like we can fix it. Can you please fill in your details? I decided to take over from here, since I could tell Hanami was about to explode. I'll be putting mine instead. She told me she wouldn't feel safe if she gave out her personal information. I took the pen from his hand and began to write down my room number and floor. Here you go, there should be no problems, right? I asked. Well, you see, it's Sir Cameron. Listen here, you perv. Kiyotaka has already put his information down, so I suggest you take it. If you don't, we'll have to raise a complaint, and for your knowledge, the Irie-chan is the student council president's cousin. That was a really nice bluff. After hearing Chiaki's onslaught, he broke out in a cold sweat. So we clear? I asked in a forceful tone. Why yeah. After that we left the store and headed over to Mickey Donaldo. 5.13 After spending another few hours with each other, we split. The few hours we spent together were fun, from teasing Irie to them poking fun at my poker face. It was truly something. Hanami and I went home together, while Irie and Chiaki went to go meet Yuuichi and Haruka. Once we were back at my dorm, Hanami dropped herself onto my bed. What's wrong? I asked her as I took a seat next to her. Perverts, they annoy me. Hanami started with a straight face. She was still mad about what happened last night. Why do men see a nice vulnerable girl and think I'm gonna harass her? Most men like to feel superior and find it attractive when a girl is being weak. To be honest, I felt good when you were crying into my chest earlier. I said bluntly. But you wouldn't take advantage of me or any woman though. I wouldn't do anything sexual to a girl without consent, but anything else I definitely would. I wouldn't, I see no reason to. She smiled at my answer. A few minutes went by and she dug her face into my chest. You smell nice. She randomly pointed out. Although I haven't commented on it, she does smell nice. Her scent was similar to a sweet citrus smell. It fit her perfectly. You do too, I like the perfume you're using. When I finished my sentence, she giggled. You idiot, I didn't use any today, that's just my natural scent. Okay, cut the jokes, it's impossible to smell this good without spraying something. Her giggles grew into a laugh as I laid there dumbfounded. Idiot, it's probably because I've used it so much, it's finally become my natural scent. That made sense. It's like me with lavender. Oh yeah, what did you want to talk about? Suddenly, her whole aura changed. It was dark and sad now. Kiyotaka, please don't look at me any different after I tell you this. She pleaded. I wouldn't trust me, I said as I patted her head. Well. And Hanami told me her whole story. It's quite sad. Her family was poor, and she wanted to get her sister a present for her birthday, so she conned men into giving her money. She put herself through stress and went against her morale code, just for her sister. In all honesty, I don't think she should be mad about or depressed about it. She was showing her family she cared. What probably triggered those feelings was her mother's reaction. For a kind girl like her, I'm sure the event left a mark on her, but on the other hand, her kind-hearted nature is what caused the event. Hanami, that was you being considerate. At the moment, I don't think I would ever do that, but I can see the reason why you did it. You're not in the wrong, nor were you doing the right thing. The best way to get over something like this is to just own it. I could tell my words impacted her because she got up and kissed me. This time I fully accepted it. She tasted like strawberries, which was lovely. When we separated, she smiled at me. Her bright smile made the fuzzy ball in my chest buzz a little bit. I can get used to that, I muttered. Oh, really, I'll do it all the time then. She declared, while she walked over to my door. I'm gonna come and visit you tomorrow, okay? See you tomorrow. She slipped on her shoes and left my room. I wanted to give her another kiss, but I guess it'll have to wait till tomorrow. 5.14 For the next week, I wasn't able to see her that much, due to the study group and her being busy with student council stuff. I had made it an objective that, after midterms, I'll deal with that Nagumo guy. He probably thinks there'll be no punishment since it's been a week, but little did he know, he was in for a world of pain. 5.15 Alright class, here are your midterm results. Sensei stuck up our results and it read like this. Class A. 1075, plus 100. Class B. 845, 95 plus. Class C. 577, plus 87. Class C. 292, plus 92. The results surprised me. I thought we would get around 85 points, but we did better than expected. Well done class, I expected some of you to fail, but it seems like I was wrong. Aside from me and Yuuichi, I'm pretty sure she hates this class. Yeah, sensei, take that. Suda yelled. Well, I'm sure you guys know this exam was identical to your test one. I can assure you that every test after will be different, so be happy you got some points now. In reality, we only got that much because we were able to get a hold of the test early. We still have a long way to go. I wonder who's truly leading Class A, I mumbled. From what we've seen it's Sakeangi, but my gut had told me it's Shinomiya when I first saw him. I'll have to investigate that when I get some spare time. Now that midterms are over I can finally enact my plan to get Nagumo expelled. Throughout the past week I found out he was the leader of Class 2B. I heard he was in a fierce battle with the Student Council Vice President Mikasa Tenji. He and Nagumo have been going at it ever since Nagumo was kicked off the Student Council. This was because there was an altercation that happened between the two. My main question is why was Hanami involved? She has no connections to him, right? Well, I'll be finding that out tomorrow. Pass kosu. WHEWWW. This chapter was a lot to think about. I didn't know if I should have restarted the chapter and made it go a different route, but I decided with this. Ichinus and Ayanokoji are a couple now, but don't worry if other things happen with Ayanokoji. For all Yuuichi fans, these next couple chapters may be Ayanokoji based, but after they'll be back to Yuuichi. I just want to flesh this little mini arc I created. Sorry for taking longer than a day to upload. I was really busy yesterday and was really tired when I actually got around to writing. Also, my favorite game at the moment had its anniversary, Dragon Ball Legends. I've been playing the game for like 3.5 years, and it's still really good. Anyway, less about that. There will be a .5 chapter coming out explaining what really went down between Nagumo and Ichinus. You can skip it if you don't like the sensitive topic, but I suggest you read it because it gives more explanation to chapter 6. Anyway, I'm going back to sleep, bye. Hey Hanami, come meet me in this special building. I urgently need help with something. I had just received a text from my senpai. I'm not too close with him, but I am close enough to meet him alone. It was around 8 PM and was cold out, so I put on a t-shirt, a jacket and some sweepins, and then made my way over. On my way he responded straight away. Your lifesaver, I'm happy I'm helping him. It feels good whenever I make someone feel nice. For some reason the closer I get to the building the more my body is telling me to turn around and go home. Can I bring a friend? I was a bit uneasy, so I was gonna ask Kansuki or Mako to accompany me. Normally I would ask Shiho, but currently, she's sleeping, plus she hates Nagumo for some reason, so she'd tell me not to go. No, come alone, you're the only person who can help me with this. This was seeming a bit sketchy, but I still went ahead. Worst comes to worst he may want to touch me or something, but Nagumo isn't like that. Plus I would automatically shut him down since I have feelings for someone else. Okay, I'm 5 minutes away. For some reason I started trembling. Maybe it's just a cold. Although it was summer it was still a little chilly at night. 5.5.1. When I arrived it was dark, the whole building was barely lit by the near non-existent sun. I walked further into the building only to be met with a bright flashlight. Fortunately, it was Nagumo. You arrived, Hanami. Let's go into that classroom so we can discuss what I need help with. He pointed to the classroom and we started walking there. As we were making our way there he put his arm around me, drawing me close. I felt uncomfortable, but maybe he was just trying to indicate that he'll protect me. Once we arrived at the room it was like a normal classroom. Nagumo sat on a desk and then gestured for me to sit opposite him. So Hanami, have you got a boyfriend? No, not at the moment. His smile grew bigger. I see, do you want one? He asked, leaning forward. Well, I have a crush on this one guy, but he probably doesn't like me. I blushed, looking downwards. What guy wouldn't want to date you? He put his hand on my shoulder to reassure me. Many probably wouldn't. I continued looking down. Well, Hanami, I should get around to telling you what I called you here for. I was waiting for this. I wanted to go home. Oh yeah, tell me, Nagumo-senpai. I really like you, be my girlfriend. He whispered it into my ears. I'm sorry Nagumo, I can't, I muttered. Repeat that I didn't catch you. He jolted back and grabbed my chin, making me look up at him, his eyes piercing me. I said I can't. I'm sorry, you're not the guy I've fallen for. After my shout my voice became soft. It was as if I was whispering to myself. Oh, is that right? He still had control of my chin. I'm so sorry Nagumo-senpai, you're good looking and your personality is nice, but you're just not for me. That was the truth. You could make an argument that he's the most attractive guy in school with a couple of third-year students, Hashimoto, Yuuichi, Harada and Kiyotaka. Okay, I see, who's this guy you like? He asked, looking down. If I tell you, don't tell anyone please. I put emphasis on, please. I can't let them know, it could ruin our friendship. Sure, I won't tell anyone. He looked back up at me. It's Ayanokoji Kiyotaka, he's the boy. I was blushing like crazy. Just me saying his name is enough to give me butterflies. Although we don't interact as much, my feelings for him built up, from his calm demeanor to his scent, to his amazing facial features. Everything about him to me is perfect. I haven't heard of him before. What class is he in? He looked interested. Class D, but I believe his placement there is a mistake. He looked at me and laughed. You never know, he could have an extremely dark past. If you're in Class D you're there for a reason. I knew that was the case, but what was Kiyotaka's problem? I think they misplaced him there. I said this with enthusiasm, causing me to speak a bit louder than I should have. You must really like this guy, I see. Well, we should get going then, right? So that was all. Why was I so scared? Okay, sure. I got up and started walking. As I walked past Nagumo, his phone dropped. Ah, I got it. I bent over to get it. Slap. You know, Hanami, you have a nice butt. I jumped at this action. I immediately turned around, handing him back his phone. Do you work out a lot, or is it genetics? These questions are weird. A combination of both. I didn't want to make idle chat. I feel like I should leave here immediately. Now that I think about it, you're genetically gifted. He stood up, walking up to me. This caused me to bump into a desk, making me somehow sit on it while I was backing up from him. Why, yeah, I guess I am. Can I leave now? He started smiling while touching my right thigh. I've changed my mind. Actually, we're not done yet. What does he mean by this? No, Nagumo-senpai, this is enough. I need to go. He then grabbed my throat, bringing me closer. No, you don't, Hanami. We're gonna have some fun. At the word fun, I automatically knew his intentions with me. I kicked him in his stomach, forcing him away. When he was stunned, I got off the table and began to run. But I was too slow. He managed to pounce on me, causing me to slam against the wall. Stop, Nagumo-st. He smashed his lips onto mine. You know, if I can't have you, then I'll just take away your first time. At this, I was completely still. Although a bit much, I expected Kiyotaka to take it. No, stop. He forced his hand over my mouth, muffling my screams in the process. I couldn't move my body. I was completely still. I've decided he can have you, but not after I have my piece of you first. He can have the used version of you. He then proceeded to rip off my jacket and reach under my t-shirt. I tried to say something, but his hands were so pressed onto my mouth, so it just sounded like I was squealing. There's no fighting it, I should give in. I'm so sorry, Kiyotaka, it was meant to be you doing this to me, I said in my head. After I stopped squealing, he took off my t-shirt and stripped me of my bra. Wow, they're truly huge and so nice and pink. I'm gonna have to bite them and suck them. First, he fondled my breasts and then sucked on them. When he bit into them, this gave me a shock. Don't take this lying down. Fight, Hanami. I imagined Shiho yelling this to me. I had finally gained my strength back. I started kicking and punching Nagumo. Hey, you stupid bench. Stop squealing. Slap. He had slapped me with full force on my cheek, causing me to hold my mouth in pain. Yeah, you like that, he said, smiling. Get off, perv. I shouted, kicking him in tandem. This only caused him to aggravate him more. Since you want to fight so much, I might as well beat the crap out of you first. He lifted his fist and smashed it into my stomach, causing me to exhale. Then punching my side. I then tried to get a clean hit in and go for his jaw, but this caused him to grab my hand, slamming it onto the wall, pinning it. He then punched my stomach again and repeated it 5 or 6 times. Each time a punch landed, I felt the will in me to fight back. Stop, please. I had whispered this out. Speak up. Another fist landed. After that, I became limp, sliding down onto the floor. I had decided he can do whatever to my top half, but as soon as he touches down there, I'll kick his shaft and run. Could you stop fighting, hopefully for good now? He straddled me and then started leaving hickeys all over my body. Slowly but surely he made it down to my nether regions. I started shaking so bad it made me feel dizzy. He tried to grab my sweatpants, but I kicked him in the balls. He screamed in agony. I got up and ran, grabbing my other garments with me. It was clear luck wasn't on my side, since before I knew it he had caught up to me again. I could see the exit of the building, but it was too late. He had pounced on me, pinning me down from behind. Now stay still. At this point I had lost all hope. He drew down my sweetness, and then slapped my butt hard. Your butt is so nice. I bet that Anakoji kid is gonna have fun with this. Stop. Don't mention him. I wonder how many times you touched yourself over him. I wonder what would happen if I sent him this on your phone. At this, I let out a little squeal. How cute, Hanami, this boy must really be something for you to be acting like this. This just makes it better. I was completely at this man's fingertips. All I could think is, end this quickly. I want to go back into my bed and crawl into my shell. He started to remove my panties. The cold air hit my expletive, causing me to shiver. Oh, no fun, you're not wet. Guess I'll have to wet it myself. He started licking it and spitting on it. It seems wet enough now. Hey, Hanami, turn around quickly. Let me show you what greatness is gonna go inside you. As I turn my head slowly, I see his shaft. Since I haven't seen one before, I don't know if he was big per se, but he seemed confident in it, so I assume it's big for one. Before fully conceding, I tried to let out a scream to attract attention, but it never came out. Why is my voice not working? Work, Danjit. You know, Hanami, I only did this since you're so nice. Maybe if you had a few screws loose and weren't so naive, this wouldn't have happened. I know if Soragi was in this situation instead of you, she would have survived, especially with that monstrous kicking power of hers. Again, Shiho, the whole time I've been here she's overshadowed me, but I'm fine with that. My weakness was my kindness, huh? I need to change that then. I don't ever want to end up here again. Now let me get started. This was my final chance to save myself. I prepared my throat and tried screaming till Now you ain't screaming. Nagumo had covered my mouth with his hand, making my screams muffled. As I try to bite his hand, I feel something stab me. It entered. My body started shaking even more than it did before. It hurt so bad. Seems like it's having a little struggle going in. Don't worry, after one more stroke it'll all go in fine. After he uttered those words, I felt a sharp pain in my body. It felt like he tore something. "Ah, you're bleeding, so you were a Virgin Mary, how cute." He started moving back and forth. The pain was unbearable, but after 10 or so strokes it started to disappear. It didn't feel good, nor did it feel bad. I wasn't excited from it in the slightest. After a minute or two of him slapping my butt and going in and out, he had stopped. I then felt a hot liquid on my butt. "You know, Hanami, minus the blood, you're the best girl I've had sex with. No wonder all the girls in my year slightly hate you. It's like a woman's intuition to know who's got a better PSI or something," he said while pulling up his pants. "Shut up. Shut up. Shut up." I couldn't take it anymore, but I couldn't do anything. "Well, I'm going now, and remember, don't tell anyone about this, or I'll leak your confession to being a thief." He recorded that. My eyes widened. He was never on my side. "I can see by your eyes you're shocked, so let's keep this our little secret, yeah? We can even meet up behind the scenes and do this again." Every word he spoke made my body shake, not in fear but in anger. For some reason I was no longer scared, all I felt was immense anger. "Well, see ya." After uttering those words he just left. Left me crying. For half an hour I curled up next to the wall crying my eyes out. I had just lost my first time being raped. I felt so disgusted. I knew I shouldn't have come here. But I still did. Will I ever lose this feeling? Can someone take this away? I muttered to myself. After crying for a little while longer I decided I should leave. After arriving back at the dorms I found Yuuichi staring off into the distance. I decided it would be best if he didn't see me like this, so I rushed inside before he could notice me. When I arrived in my room I fell dead. Dried up blood was all down my leg, and my hair was a mess. Why are people like this? I whimpered to myself. I ended up crying myself to sleep that night. I was too exhausted to shower or even text anyone. The only thing I could think about is the horrible feeling of what Nagumo had inflicted on me. It was after school and I had decided to take a trip to Hanami's class. Today we announced to both our classes that we have become allies, so it wouldn't be out of the blue for me to show up. After the incident that happened to Hanami, she requested that I walk her home every day because she wasn't busy with student council work. Last week I walked her home 3 times, which wasn't an issue. Unlike Shiho, she gets days off. Whether that's a good or bad thing doesn't really affect me. I get to spend more time with Hanami, so I'm not really bothered. Today, the group decided to go to Kiyaki Mall for a karaoke session. I'm pretty sure they'll have fun without me. After I turned a few more corners, I arrived at Class B. Shiho, come. Okay, Tenji. Coming. That's Mikasa Tenji, the student council vice president. Due to them calling each other by their first names, I can only assume they had a close bond. Maybe that's why Shiho gets more work. See you later, Hanami. Shiho said as she ran out of class. Okay, let's go, Tenji. Oh hi, Kiyotaka-kun. She waved. Hi, Shiho. I was leant up against the wall preparing to scare Hanami, but I guess that's ruined. Also, you're the famous Ayanokoji Kiyotaka. Where's Katagiri Yuuichi? Aren't you two meant to be a dynamic duo? He stuck out his hand urging me to shake it. Yes, I am. You must be Vice President Mikasa Tenji. His grip was firm. He gave off a serious vibe. I guess the student council president knows how to pick his followers. I am. Horikita-senpai has said great things about you. The president talks about me. Maybe if I need to, I'll join the South Carolina just for reputation's sake. Although reputation in this school is important in this school, the paperwork seems a bit much, and I can't be bothered to deal with all of that. Maybe I could give it to Hanami or get someone like Kushida to join. The other day, Kushida asked me if she could do anything to raise her position. Maybe I could get her onto the student council. Well, we're going now, see you, Kiyotaka-kun. She waved at me and followed Tenji. I waved back and waited for Hanami. After a few minutes, she finally said goodbye to everyone and made her way to the door. Ah! Hanami screamed. Due to her not looking where she was going, I was able to grab her shoulder extremely tight, which scared her. Oh, it's just you. Don't do that again, you big dummy. Anyway, I was just about to text you to come meet me, but I guess you already beat me. She must have been really focused on the conversation she had with her classmates for her not to hear the conversation I had with Mikasa and Shiho. Maybe she wasn't paying attention. Come on, let's go. 6.2. Kiyotaka, when should we tell everyone that we're a couple? She uttered while blushing. We were currently outside of school grounds walking the long way home. Give it another week. Due to no one being close by, I grabbed her chin and brought her in for a kiss. At first she was surprised, but after a second or two, she accepted it and returned it. Throughout the past week, we had adjusted to the new level of affection we had been showing each other. We mutually agreed to not going beyond kissing until summer vacation or even after. We both wanted our bond with each other to deepen, and then we do it. Hey, do you think Shiho is better than me? In what way? She slightly tensed up, but then relaxed herself. As a person, am I inferior to her? I stood still for a second and assessed what she had said. Yes. Hanami gasped at my cold response. She most likely thought I would sugarcoat things, but unfortunately for her, I had no intentions of being gentle. I thought you would say that. As I continued to walk, she halted and stood still. Kiyotaka. Yes. Are you really okay with such a terrible girlfriend? I turned around to look at her. She was staring straight into my eyes. I am. I don't care whether you're weak or strong. At the end of the day, I'll always be superior, so why should I care? 1. I see. Well, I don't want to be weak anymore. I want to be able to stand next to you. Really? Do you really mean that? Unconsciously, my feet began to move toward her. Yes. I want to stand next to you and show you that I'm not weak. Her tears stopped as she declared her goal. For some reason, I felt my chest throb. Hanami. My unconscious footsteps placed me in front of her. For a second it stunned me, but ultimately, I didn't allow it to affect me. Yes, Kiyotaka. Do you know how hard it is to become my equal? No, but I'll happily find out. Her eyes reminded me of Yuuichi and even that man. Although they weren't cold, she displayed a level of determination only seen in the best of the best. Hanami, your eyes. What about them? They're beautiful. Why would you say that at a time like this? Don't worry, all you need to know is that I believe you. Even though her whole vibe had changed, she had fully set herself on becoming the best of the best. Oh ha 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 ha, why did you have to be so romantic like that? You made me nervous. There was still one thing on my mind I needed answered. How are your eyes to my level? Suddenly, the serious atmosphere disappeared as Hanami sheepishly laughed. I was gonna ask if you could train me. Sure, why not, you deserve it. When she heard my answer, her expression changed. Oh really? Yeah. Why? Instantly, she latched onto me, celebrating. I'll be able to join you and Yuuichi in your training. How do you know about that? Well, one morning a girl from Class A sent a video to the girls' group chat of you two training. How did I not notice her? Oh well, okay. Wait, can you show me the video? She nodded and brought out her phone, showing it to me. It was a video of me watching Yuuichi doing push-ups. Then at the end, he got up and I handed him his water. I think what would cause the most fuss about this video is us both being shirtless. See? Anyway, I promise I'll keep up. I believe you. Good. She blurted while grabbing onto my arm. Oh yeah, now that I think about it, I've never actually complimented your body to you personally. What do you mean personally? I was confused about what she meant by that. Like I always tell you, know what, don't worry about it. She held onto my arm tighter as she looked away. By the way, tomorrow I'm gonna be busy. What you doing? She questioned. Sensei wants me to do a few things for her tomorrow. I couldn't blatantly tell her what I was going to do, so I made up a convincing lie. Like what exactly? She never specified. I think it was something to do with the chairman. Oh I see, don't mess it up. I won't, trust me. We began to walk again, but another important question flew into my mind. Why does Shiho get more student council work than you? She's really close with Mikasa-senpai since they grew up together, so he gives her little jobs to increase her rank. Hanami didn't appear to be pleased by this. Isn't that against the rules? Yeah, but it'll change eventually. I'll prove I'm just as useful soon enough. I have faith she will. That's a great way to look at things. I know, right? She laughed and then tugged my blazer. Hey, do you believe the Shiho would have ended in that situation if she had gone there? What makes you say that? Nagumo said things would have gone differently if she were in my shoes. I agree with him, but yet again, I feel like he would have approached Shiho differently. I see, okay. Surprisingly, she took that well. Anyway, can I sleep over tonight? No, tomorrow we can though. Ugh. I wanted to sleep with you tonight. But well, just wait another 24 hours. It's gonna be so long though. She sighed. I can't do anything about that, that's all on you. Ugh, fine. Due to us being done with our exams, I didn't need to meet up with the Anakoji group anymore from 6 PM till 8 PM. Since I had nothing else to attend to, I allowed Hanami to stay over until it was time for training with Yuuichi. 6.3. When she left, I got 2 texts from Yuuichi which were voice messages. It was around 5 minutes long combined. Now that I think about it, I haven't told him about the Nagumo situation yet. I'll tell him when we're working out in around half an hour. Let me listen to this quickly. I grabbed my phone, went into my kitchen and decided to quickly make some tea, so I wouldn't be bored listening to the voice message. 6.4. It's about time now. Every day at around 8 to 9 PM I go out and stargaze. It's a new hobby I picked up a few weeks back. I put on my casual clothes and made my way outside. Since it was late, I didn't see anyone in the lift or lobby. It was peaceful. I felt at peace. Bang. While I was making my way to my usual spot, I noticed a noise coming from it. It sounded like someone kicked the railing. I decided no matter what it was I should record it, so I brought out my phone and decided to record a voice message to Kiyotaka, so if my phone gets compromised at least he has it. As I got closer I saw Kushida. I whispered this so she couldn't hear it. Arg. I hate it all, I hate them all. Stupid perverts staring at my chest, freaking perverts. I bet they'll die virgins. Freaking I could Yamuchi dang losers. And Horikita, why is she above me on the class representative list? Why the freak am I dead last behind the rest of them? That Katagiri guy, just because he's a little cutie, thinks he can boss me around. And don't get me started on Anakoji, he thinks he can just ignore me because everyone always praises him. Ugh, I hate them all. Buzz, crap, why did I get a notification now? That stopped the voice message I was recording, so I decided to start a new one, and then step out from behind the tree. Hey Kushida. I was just going for M, she ran up to me and then grabbed my hand. Did you hear anything? Her voice was completely cold. This was different from the Kushida at school. If I said no you wouldn't believe me would you? I said looking away scratching my cheek with my free hand. I guess you're right. She then lifted my hand onto her boob, forcing me to caress it. Why are you doing this? She looked at me with darkness in her eyes. Kushida, answer me. I said her name out loud, so in the voice recording they knew exactly who she was. Because if you ever tell anyone what you saw here I'll tell the school you raped me. Her plan was good but not good enough, time for me to take control. Kushida, you're an idiot. Here let me help you. I started to place my hands all on her body. Let me even touch your skirt it'll seem much more real that I assaulted you. She was shocked. Why are you doing this? Is this an excuse so you touch my body you perv? Because if you were to report me to the school they wouldn't believe it, only one part of the body being touched is a bit weird. So I'll supply you with evidence. She was even more ticked. They're saying I'm incompetent. I didn't expect this reaction. I hate you guts, all of you pretty boys are the same. She's a weird one, complimenting me while saying she hates my guts. If you don't like the way I treat you, say it. You've never had a single complaint so I didn't change anything. I made her think she had the upper hand. Hey let's go over to that tree and talk it out. I really want you to like me, Kushida. She looked at me funny. I don't see a reason to but why not? Like an idiot, she fell into my trap. As soon as we reached the tree I stopped the voice recording and cornered her. What are you doing? Her voice was still cold. You're not the only one with another half Kushida. My face started to distort. I showed her my true smile. Oh, so you think we're the same? I can tell you we aren't. She started shaking, her voice withering, but she kept up with her dark tone. You're right, we aren't. You like a house cat while I'm a lion. I started to touch her hair, she tried to slap my hand away but couldn't. Are you gonna rape me or something? Because if you do expect your butt to be expelled by the time tomorrow starts. She was obviously shaken up but was keeping it together well. And I'll expose these voice recordings. I played the voice recording. Arg. I hate it all, I hate them all. Stupid pervert staring at my chest, freaking D after hearing this her composure broke. She tried grabbing the phone, but I forced her onto the tree. I even recorded the part where I helped you get evidence, you see your situation right now. She was starting to tear up. Her high school life was about to be ruined. Katagiri you sly freak, you better not release those tapes. She tried to stay strong, but tears began to fall down from her eyes. Do as I say and I'll consider it. Why do I always mess up everything? Suddenly, Kushida dropped to the ground. It was like her world was falling apart in front of her. What's with the sudden shift? Have you realized the predicament you're in? Shut up. Just shut up. I'll do anything you say, just don't release those tapes, I don't want to go back home. She's far more fragile than I originally thought. I still decided to continue since I wanted to see how far she would go. Alright then, how about you spread your legs for me? Instantly, she obeyed my command. Good girl, how about I remove your blazer? I wonder how your boobs look, I wonder if you have pink nipples. Once again she obeyed but this time I stopped her. Okay you can stop now, I was just joking. Ha. Her face was a mix between confusion, sadness and anger. Kushida, I'm not going to rape you or assault you, it's just not my style. TH then. I was testing you and you passed. You're confusing me, what did I pass? I sighed and then helped her up, putting her back on her feet. Don't worry, all you need to know is that you belong to me now. Wait hold on, this is happening too fast. No it's not, just accept that you're mine now, and we're all good. Instantly she tensed up at the mention of her being mine. Yours are you out of your mind I chuckled. Not really, I could get you kicked out at any given moment. She quickly understood our current predicament and kissed her teeth. But you know what, fine. She turned away in disgust. Kushida, you're a strong girl. Not many people would offer up something important to protect themselves. I know that. She blurted. That's good and I like that, hopefully, soon you'll understand that I basically own you now, and you'll be my puppet from today onward, I said as I grabbed her chin. Her face was as if she had just seen the vilest thing ever. Get your freaking hands off my face. She slapped my hand away successfully this time. Easy there. Don't slap your master like that, ugh. Whatever, I guess I'll stop because if I don't you'll most likely release that video. She was right on the money. And I know you'll be trying to get me expelled at any point and chance you get. But unluckily for you, I'll release these whenever you try to get me expelled, so I think you should be a good girl and just listen to me. She was completely at my fingertips. Well I'm going home now, I hate you so much. She turned around and walked home. I knew she didn't really mean what she said, but I didn't want to expose her on that. I decided to stay out anyway and do my stargaze. Railing-san she kicked you pretty hard huh? There was a dent in it, honestly. I was kinda mad since I lean on him basically every day. Don't worry they're gonna patch you up. I started patting it. If anyone saw me I would be called a weirdo. Bling, it was Kiyotaka. Come up to my room, we have a lot to talk about. He's probably talking about the Kushida stuff. I should make my way up there. They'll be there soon. After reaching his room, he had a tea set out, and he pointed to the chair opposite him. After that, we forgot to work out that night, which isn't that much of a big deal since what we were talking about was way more serious. He told me everything to do with Hanami and that Nagumo guy. In exchange I told him about the situation between me and Kushida which just happened. So that's why you've been with her recently. You have to tell Irie. Irie held heavy feelings for Kiyotaka, and so she's always been asking us why he's never there after school. I will, but I don't know Yuuichi. I looked at him questionably. What do you mean? He took a deep breath and then spoke. I seem to like Irie as well as Hanami. But the feeling is different. For Irie it's more of lust. It feels weird hearing him going through teenage struggles. You're in a tough spot. Since I've never been in a relationship I haven't experienced this, so I couldn't possibly tell you. He looked down at my tea seeing how I haven't drank any. It was cold now, but out of respect for him, I'll finish it. I'll figure something out, thanks for the help. Although he had his usual stoic face I could tell he was happy. So Nagumo, want me to help? I can record the whole thing so you don't have to go through the trouble. He then gave me a serious look. No? I'll handle this, Nagumo is mine. He shattered his cup in the process. 1. We should clean that up. He nodded in response and got to cleaning up. It was 10:25 now, so I decided to take my leave. Remember not to go overboard. 2. Yeah, I won't. He had a peaceful look in his eyes, so I decided to leave and go back to my dorm. 6.5. Yuuichi just left. I told him everything about Hanami and what was going on between me and her. It's around 10:30 p.m., and I think it's time to enact a plan. I pulled out my phone and sat on my bed. I hovered over Nagumo's number that I stole from Hanami. Since Hanami is relaxed around me, she leaves her phone open around me. So I was able to sneak into her contacts and get his number. I also took a few extra ones that may come in handy. I double-checked if I had an unknown caller on and then rang him. Surprisingly, he picked up fast. Hey Nazuna, stop with TH. This isn't a prank call, Nagumo. He paused for a second, probably due to shock. Who's this? You don't need to know that. What you do need to know is where to meet me. Tomorrow after school, come to the special building alone. He became quiet. You really expect me to come alone? I don't even know who you are. An obvious answer. To give you some reassurance, I'm a first-year student. You're not gonna bring your friends to come and see a first-year who just wants to chat. He started laughing. I see, I'll come alone. What time after school? I wanted to make it straight away, but I wanted him to suffer. 8 p.m. Come at 8 p.m. I made it specifically at 8 p.m. to make him feel how it feels to be in Hanami's shoes. 3. Sure, why not? See you there then. After that, he hung up the phone. I'm gonna make you suffer tomorrow. I couldn't see my face, but I can tell it was full of anger and disgust. I calmed down after putting my phone down. My smoldering love for Hanami is making me act this way. Love sure is a powerful emotion. 6.6. It's the next day now and everything has happened as per usual. I trained with Yuuichi and went to class with the Anakoji group. Spent lunch with them and was walking back with them. Everything seemed fine. When I got back into my room I quickly changed into my clothes and headed over to the special building. The reason I'm going over there so early is to protect my identity. I wouldn't want Nagumo sending second-year students to scout the area. At least if I go now they shouldn't be there. Well, on my way there I saw another strawberry-haired woman. Funny enough, she was a victim of Nagumo before as well. I guess we have the same type, huh? I whispered to myself. Her name was Mizusa Maria. Although she wasn't raped, she was assaulted by Nagumo, causing him to get kicked off the student council. Over the past week, I had gained all the info on him I could. Due to him being in a war with Mikasa Tenji, the second years have been divided into two halves. Class A and D cooperate while Class B and C work together, meaning to gather information. All I needed to do was avoid Classes B and C. I had asked a second-year student from Class A about Nagumo. She said the best person to talk to was Mizusa, so I did. You're here earlier than expected. She waved to me. I had her look out for Class B or C goons trying to scout the place. Don't worry, you don't need to panic, no one's here. She reassured me. Your assistance this past week has been really good, thanks Mizusa. She had told me everything she knew about Nagumo. When I first approached her she thought I was bluffing, but when I said Fukakiryu sent me she automatically listened. I still don't know why this is the case, but I'll ask eventually. Anakoji-kan, if this goes through I'll be indebted to you for life. She jumped at me, hugging me. Luckily no one was around to see. Mizusa's position in this school was also high. She was Tenji's assistant of sorts, handling all the stuff he couldn't do. She was also a Class D student, which is odd. From what I've seen she seems to be perfectly capable, sometimes even surprising me when we talk. But that's for another day. It's okay, I'm doing it for my own selfish reasons anyway. She still smiled at me. I felt my heart skip a beat. I must really have a thing for strawberry-haired women. See ya. She yelled while running away. Now it's time to relax for 4 hours. It was exactly 4 p.m., so I had to wait for quite a while. Luckily I brought a book with me so it wouldn't be all that bad. It wasn't your usual book, it was a light novel called Hayaka. I liked the protagonist of the main lead at least. 6.7. After finishing the first volume 1 checked the time and found out it was 7:57 p.m, so Nagumo should be here any time now. I came out from under the desk I was hiding under and took out my flashlight. Is anyone here? It was his voice. I walked out into the hallway flashing my light at him. Yeah, come let's go into that class over there. It was a class he called Hinami too. Before we start, can I at least get a name? Like I can't even see your face, the light is too bright. I decided to walk closer to him so he could get a good look at me. While doing so I turned my recorder on so everything was documented. Are you that Anakoji kid? He came up close to me inspecting my face. I think I know what's going on. He had a smile on his face. Come let's go. I turned around and started walking. When I was a few steps away from him I felt him gearing up to kick me, so I turned around blocking it mid-swing. You're not getting any cheap shots on me, I've come here to talk. Let's get that out of the way first at least. I see I'll chill with the violence then. He said while a smirk crept onto his face. I turned around continuing to walk not caring about his stupid mannerisms. Hurry up. He was still in the same spot so I told him to hurry up. Now we were walking aside each other I thought it would be appropriate to put my arm around him. Hey get off. He tried to take my arm off me but couldn't. Why the heck are you so strong? He looked panicked. This is good. Don't worry, we're almost in the classroom. As I uttered those words we arrived at the classroom. Come you sit there I'll sit here. He started shaking. Why those exact spots who I know I gave him a cold look. Sit there, don't make me have to repeat myself. His smirk was gone and he complied. I decided I should calm down and approach this without emotions. Now that we were sat he could get a good look at my face, and I could get a good look at his. Nagumo, what do you remember doing here exactly 2 weeks ago? He looked panicked but then relaxed himself shortly after. I don't know, I don't remember. He looked me dead in the eye. I see, what's your relationship with Ichino Sanami? He looked annoyed by me mentioning her name. Look if you're here to interrogate me I might as well make it easier for you. Yes I did force myself onto her. Happy now, cool let me go. My anger got a hold of me causing me to smash the desk he was sitting on. He fell to the floor in response. How can you say it so calmly? He was smirking still, even after seeing my display of strength. I mean it's not as if you're recording the conversation, you're a Class D student. You wouldn't be that smart. And how his incompetence will be his undoing. I would rethink that. I decided to go back to my normal tone of voice, pulling out my phone which had been recording the conversation. Ha! He was utterly shocked. His face gave me all the answers I needed. At this, I stopped the recording. You do know that I'm going to beat the ever-living crap out of you. For the first time in my life I swore, I don't understand the hype around it. But I only said it due to my immense anger. Hey man, look I can give you all my private points just play. I deepened my stare causing him to stop talking. Hand over all your points now. After this incident, he would surely be expelled. I've heard you can save people from expulsion with 20 million points, but he was an actual criminal, so the school no matter the points, would expel him immediately. Okay give me your number so I can give it to you. His voice was shaking, his tears were forming in the corner of his eyes. I had cracked his composure. After he passed me the 12 million points I said he was allowed to leave. I then decided to throw my book at the entrance of the class. Hey, pick up my book for me, why don't you? He bent down and gave my book back to me. Can I go now? He said while weakly pointing to the door. No, actually I think we should have more fun. Instantly he knew what I meant and decided to throw a punch at me. I blocked it causing him to turn around and run. I let him get outside the class before I started chasing him. As soon as he turned the corner I dashed after him, catching up to him in mere seconds. I tackled him to the floor. Since he turned around at the last second, he was already facing me when I straddled him. I didn't even bother to speak. After I straddled him I punched with full force on his jaw dislocating it. He was surprisingly resilient to not get knocked out in one punch. Then after I punched his nose but with less force. I ended up breaking it, I was nowhere near done and went for his face again. Knocking out a few of his teeth and then giving him a serious cut above his eye. Yet my anger was still there although a smaller flame compared to earlier, but it was still there. I decided to unleash it on his body. I punched it in a way where I wouldn't do anything serious. Back. He was coughing up blood. I knew I seriously messed him up so I would have to take responsibility for it. The most I could get is suspended due to him attacking first, and me being a year younger. Although I did injure him heavily with the evidence I have, I could say he attacked me again and in pure self-defense, for my life, I did this. Now I've calmed down again. Get yourself to the infirmary, you'll be spending your last day at this school there. He started crying. Back. He couldn't speak due to his dislocated jaw and blood constantly entering his mouth when he tried to. I decided to step outside for fresh air, since the building was starting to smell like blood. I pulled out my phone and sent the recording to Chabashiro-sensei, along with the conversation I had with Hinami, and the pictures of the bruises I took while she was asleep. She instantly called me. Hey Anakoji, are you okay? Where are you? I'll hurry over there, we need to discuss this. She sounded extremely startled. I'm at the special building. I could hear her get up from wherever she was from and start walking. Stay there, I'm coming. With that, she hung up the phone. Minutes later I could see her running towards me. When she approached me she hugged me. I'm so glad you're safe. I've never seen Sensei this emotional. I guess she does care about her students. He's inside, he hasn't moved. She then rushed inside the building to see Nagumo as a bloody pulp. Did you do this? Sensei looked back at me shocked. Yeah, I did, but it was out of self-defense, Sensei. Due to the recording and everything else she had no choice but to believe me. Well, currently he's knocked out, probably due to pain, so I'm gonna call over teachers to carry him out. She grabbed her phone and called Shinomiya-sensei telling her that we need staff to come to carry Nagumo to the infirmary. So will he be getting expelled and what's my punishment? Although I already know the answers, I just wanted to be 100% sure. He will be expelled immediately and at best a light punishment will be dealt to you. Maybe a one-day suspension. I wanted to get everything done here so I don't have to explain myself later. How many points does it take to negate the suspension and keep Nagumo away from his friends? She looked at me and pondered. 6 million in total, but how why? Before she could finish I took out my phone and showed her that I had 12,424,543 points. How do you? She was in utter shock. I asked him to hand over his points, and I let him keep quiet. I meant to keep quiet about why he was gonna get expelled, but he didn't need to know that. That was a lie. But she didn't need to know that. But why do you not want his friends to meet him? She looked at me trying to read me. It's because he has a secret that could ruin Hinami's life at this school. She looked at me like a mother now. I forgot to ask, how is she? She seemed to care for her. I mean, what woman wouldn't after seeing and hearing what happened to her? She's fine, I've been looking after her. She smiled at my response. You're a true gentleman, you know that right? She said with a genuine smile on her face. Thanks, Sensei, can you keep this under wraps? I don't want anyone to know what happened to Hinami. She then grabbed my shoulder looking deep into my eyes. It's fine, you've worried enough, we'll handle everything from here. We have to keep something like this under wraps. It'll cause a bad reputation for the school. She was right, keeping this private information is their best course of action. Well, I'll be going now. She smiled at me and waved me goodbye. In response, I did it back. 6.8. When I arrived home I saw Yuuichi sitting on my bed on his phone. Yo, you're back. He got up greeting me with a fist bump. Yeah, want something to drink? I wasn't gonna even ask how he got into my room. Nah, I'm good. How did it go? I went over and turned the kettle, since it had been a while since I had something to drink. It went as planned, he'll be out of here. Yuuichi smiled. I may be a killer, and all but people like him are the worst. I didn't have an opinion on that one. Oh yeah, give me your phone. He handed me his phone while I was pouring the kettle water into my cup. What are you doing? He looked confused. Here, check your points. I had given him 3 million points, which was gonna be half of what I would have tomorrow. Thanks, but where did you owe? I see. He then started laughing. You even got some points out of it, and you already paid off the 5 million to dodge the suspension. I nodded in response. I'm gonna need to tell Hinami soon, so train alone tonight. At this, he got sad and then started smiling. Alright, I'll get out of your hair now then. After he left I texted Hinami to come to my dorm. Knock. Before she could do a second one I opened it. Hey, Kiyotaka, what did you want to talk about? She said while she took off her shoes. She was wearing a black hoodie that I gave her and some sweatpants. He's gone, I said as we sat opposite each other on my bed. What do you mean? She was confused. Nagumo, I dealt with him. She looked shocked. Did you get into a fight with him? She then noticed how I was covering my hands. They were slightly red from punching him so much. I can't say. I was looking away. Kiyotaka, face me and tell me. Her tone was more forceful. For some reason, I felt pressured so I told her the whole situation. After listening she had a straight face. So you understand why I didn't tell you, I just didn't want you to stop me. So you won't get punished. I nodded my head. Well, that's all I care about, thank you so much for doing that for me. She sat on my lap and hugged me. It's the least I could do. She smelled lovely like usual and was so warm. I felt like I could sleep right there and then. I love you so much, Kiyotaka. You've done so much for me and all I've done is be a bench. I mean, she's not wrong, but soon I'm gonna make sure she becomes of use. Don't worry, it's just my turn to be useful, soon you'll have yours. She started laughing, then faced me. We stared at each other for a few seconds before kissing each other. She tasted like bananas. When we pulled away she blushed heavily. Stop looking at me, you're embarrassing me. She covered her face with her hands. Am I not allowed to stare at my beautiful girlfriend? She started fake hitting me, which caused me to fall back along with her. The rest of the night was so peaceful. We stayed up watching Parasite while cuddling. It's been a month and a half since I enrolled in this school, and I've already experienced so many things. Running away from that place was a necessity. It's proven to do more good than bad. The thing I was most intrigued by was my emotions. Due to the white room thinking it wasn't necessary for growth, I never had the time to experience them. Emotions were stated to be a weakness at the end of the day. If you think emotionally, you'll most likely end up a failure, due to you picking the wrong answer or doing the wrong thing because of that one emotion. Later on, you'll come back to sit and think about it, and realize it was the wrong choice. But why is it so present in our lives? Recently, I have experienced two emotions that I've never experienced before. Love and trust. 2 weeks ago, Hanami and I entered a relationship, and it's been far better than I expected. At the start, my feelings were mostly there due to interest into how she would grow, but now they're starting to feel genuine. I was surprised by this because I thought love was achieved through manipulation, but over time I was proven wrong. Right now all I have is a smoldering flame, but I can tell that the flame, which is burning inside of me right now, will blossom into something beautiful if done correctly. Another thing I've noted is that it feels nice when they do or ask the most insignificant things. For example, Hanami asked me if I had eaten last night, the other day, and I felt a small warm feeling in my chest. Another thing I've noticed is I tend to be a little extra when it comes to Hanami. For example, 2 days ago I decided to help Hanami become stronger, and another example is me listening to her worries and giving my honest opinion. Usually, when Irie talks to me about something, I always give her an answer which would benefit her the most, never my honest thoughts. Now, as much as I love the feeling this emotion brings me, I also despise it as times. For example, when I see her smiling at other men, or when other men look at her a certain way, or even when she doesn't talk to me for hours. This was the unfortunate drawback of love, and I despised it. The worst one though, has to be what happened between her and Nagumo. Even though I battered him to near death, I still hold a massive amount of resentment toward him. If I'm being honest, I actually wanted to kill him, but refrained myself from doing so. Before I viewed her as a tool, but over the short time we spent together, I felt that she was more than that. To conclude my opinion on love, it's a complicated emotion. You need to experience it to truly know if it's good. It's like a drug, just make sure not to overdose. Next is trust. Katagiri Yuuichi is the first person in my life I ever trusted. My reasons for trusting him are due to the way he interacts with me. He doesn't see me as an unreachable person, nor does he view me as a lesser and try to deceive me. He views me as an equal, and I can trust him because of that. Overall, on paper, I'm a better human. With my beyond athlete-like capabilities and unreachable IQ, I would be deemed superior. But even still, he doesn't treat me any different. He actively displays himself to me over and over again, allowing me to see his weaknesses that other people have yet to see. That's why I trust him. Although he is a manipulative serial killer, he's still a good person at heart. To conclude, trust. It's allowed me to build a friendship with someone with who I truly get along with, but out of these three is the most detrimental in my opinion. Trusting the wrong people can end you up in a horrible situation, while trusting the right people can lead to beautiful things. These two emotions normally go hand in hand, but in all honesty, I didn't love Yuuichi, nor did I fully trust Hanami. I guess my next step is to love Yuuichi and trust Hanami fully. I should tell Hanami about my past and go the extra mile for Yuuichi. I want to see if humans aren't just selfish beings that care for themselves. I want to see how they react to it. Now obviously I won't love Yuuichi romantically, but I'll love him like a brother. I've never had a brother, so I wouldn't know. I'll have to figure that out too. Goodbye journal, see you soon. It's now been a month since Nagumo Miyabi was expelled, and school life is going well. We had a little run-in with Class C, but we shut it down before we could let it escalate, due to both of our classes working together. Ryuin had set up Kamiya and Sudo to have a scuffle during basketball practice, but it never happened due to Horikita's constant no-fight policy. On the other hand, they tried to get Shibata from Class B expelled by claiming he intentionally slide-tackled a member from Class C, fracturing his ankle, all because Shibata didn't make the starting lineup and he did. This seemed legit until you go further into the logic. According to Hirata and the rest of the club, the way Shibata tackled him was in a non-lethal way. To back up their evidence, Shibata was apparently a specialist in tackling, so he wouldn't make that mistake. At the end of the day, the school suspended Shibata due to the lack of evidence. Another important thing that happened was the unification of Class A and C. They had come together to fight our alliance. From what I've guessed, the leaders are Ryuin and Sakeangi. I believe people are pulling their strings though, to be exact Shinami-ike and Kaito-san. But that's just a theory I have. The difference between our alliances was that ours genuinely have a bond and trust each other, while they're still being hostile toward each other. Along with that, Hanami and I began to let people know about our relationship. Everyone we told expected this. They said it wasn't a surprise due to us hanging out a lot and other things. She also joined me and Yuuichi in training. Another thing was my invitation to the student council, which I'm still pondering on. The last thing that I found interesting was Yuuichi and Kashida's relationship. They seemed to be very close. This made Haruka and Shiho jealous. It was interesting seeing Shiho ask why he was so close with Kashida. Now that I've remembered everything important in the last month, I should get back to focusing in class. So class, this is why math is utter nonsense. The class laughed at Hashinamiya-sensei's joke. Oh look, Rapunzel has stopped looking outside the window. Hi. Is my lesson getting good now? She was poking fun at me. Sorry sensei, I'll pay more attention. Everyone in the class laughed again. I didn't tell a joke, but I guess they found my monotone voice funny. I bet all the girls in here love you. Actually, no split between you and Mr. Sleepyhead next to you. Instantly Yuuichi shot up. Was I mentioned? He was looking around confused with dribbles coming from his mouth. The whole class was dying of laughter, even Horikita smiled a little. Now, class, we can't forget about Prince Charming too. She pointed at Harada, causing him to scratch the back of his head. I couldn't see his face, but I could tell he was blushing. And why exactly are you complimenting my students? Chabashiro-sensei said, leaning on the wall next to the exit. Ah, Sei-chan, when did you get here? Shinomiya-sensei seemed visibly shocked. I've been here the whole time. You were just too busy flirting and making jokes with my class. She whacked Shinomiya-sensei over the head with her usual clipboard. Ah. Guys, help, there's a maniac in the room. She was holding her head while backing up from Chabashiro-sensei. Don't worry, sensei, I'm here to protect you. Yuuichi somehow teleported from his seat to the front, jumping in front of Chabashiro-sensei. Thank you, Yuuichi, you've allowed me to escape from the maniac. She said this while bolting out of the class. Now Yuuichi, go sit back down. Sensei looked quite mad. Okay, sensei. Yuuichi made his way back to his seat, while sensei started writing something on the board. 1.2. Now, class, you have your first special exam coming up. At this, our class panicked. Most people turned around to talk to their neighbors about it, till sensei slapped the podium, causing everyone to jump a little. Your exam will be a test of your detective skills. The points you can gain and lose are enough to make you Class C. The class was in an uproar. Everyone was enthusiastic about this exam. Quiet down, I need to list out the rules and conditions. The whole class went silent. It's kind of scary when she raises her voice. So now that you're all listening, here's how the exam works. While I'm explaining it, I'll be writing it down on the board, so if you can't listen, at least read it. The whole class nodded, signaling her to continue. So to start, the exam will start tomorrow. 3 people from each class will get selected for this exam, and will play a massive role in it. Their roles are gonna be suspects in a murder case. Everyone in the class was mumbling about how cool it was, and how they'll feel like they were in a movie. Yes, I know it sounds like fun, but I need to finish the explanation, so shush. Yuuichi seemed to be interested in this. I wonder how a real murderer would handle this. I could easily say if he was selected we would win 100%. In each class, one of those 3 people who were chosen will be a murderer. You're given their alibi and their connection to the victim. I cried after listening, put his hand up. What are the points like if we get guessed and stuff? Sensei was clearly irritated by this question and slammed her hand on the podium. I wasn't finished yet. The whole class shook, well aside from a couple of people. To get into the actual rules and conditions. The killers aren't allowed to tell you they're killers, since if they do we'll automatically expel them. The way we'll know is by a lie detector test at the end of the exam. This lie detector works 100% of the time, so I suggest you not lie. To continue, each killer won't know the other killers. I also suggest for you not to find your killer. If you do so, information could get leaked. Finding your killer won't be beneficial at all unless you think you can protect them accordingly. Like using another suspect for camouflage, but then you have to worry about an information leak. Now, what happens if you get guessed? You lose 50 class points. But if you guess someone, you get 75 class points. If you guess incorrectly, you lose 100 points, and lastly, if a class doesn't guess your killer, you gain 125 class points. Instantly Yuuichi stood up with his hand up. You may go ahead, Katagiri. So what happens if you leave it blank? I thought he would ask a more detailed question, but I guess this is useful. 1. You gain no points, nor do you lose any. This was better than guessing and missing. Okay, so I want to get this right. If we get guessed, we'll lose 50, but if we guess someone else, we get 75, so in all we'll gain 25 points. But if we guess another class incorrectly, we'll be minus 75 points down. But if the other class doesn't guess us, we'll be 50 points up. So it's just about guessing and not being guessed. It's pretty straightforward. Yes, that is the case. As you can see, in an extremely favorable scenario you could reach Class A, but the likelihood of that happening is low. She was right, to be honest. Who will be selected? This question came from Horikita, who's nicknamed Compass Girl since she stabs Yuuichi whenever he sleeps. The school will choose the students at random, so don't worry about that. At this, Horikita sat back down. This exam is far too easy. I thought they would be more interesting. Especially with the reward they're giving out. This remark came from Goldilocks. He was right though, for regular students this seems like a hard exam. But for us monsters it's a walk in the park. The hard part is if another one of the monsters is the killer, or if they protect the killer. Whatever you say, Konji. The class was getting onto Konji for this. Yeah, just because you're super smart doesn't mean you can bash us. These remarks kept flying till Sensei slammed the desk again. I never twitched, said I was done. Most of the class flinched. Now last thing, the school has been nice enough to allow you to go on a luxurious cruise to an uninhabited island for most of your summer vacation. Since it's gonna be July in a couple of days, you can imagine how this exam and the cruise ship line up. Most of the class jumped out their seats cheering and excited from this. Even I was a bit excited by this. Now the only thing is, to go on the cruise ship you need to at least guess one of the other class's colors. The class stopped and got serious again. Don't worry guys, we have Harada and the other guys, we should be fine. This came from Harada's current girlfriend, Kei Kurosawa. She was the leader of the girls alongside Kushida. Yeah, you're right, we'll be able to go. Everyone was celebrating. Honestly, I wanted to see what would happen if we just said we were taking a back seat. Yeah, this exam I won't be helping. Katagiri, what do you mean? Pseudo screamed. Yeah, what do you mean? Everyone else was confused, even I was, until he gave me a look. Oh, I see. I decided to stand up too. I wouldn't be participating either. This exam doesn't seem challenging enough. You two keep in what's going on. Haruka was in disbelief along with the class. And with that, I wouldn't be helping either. You mongrels are on your own. Remember, you have 3 other representatives. You should be fine. Konji stood up too. It was the end of school anyway, so we were allowed to leave. Wait, before you leave, why? Poor Akita looked panicked. I just don't see a reason to help. Yuuichi spoke for the 3 of us. To be honest, this exam is simple. Find out which story has the most inconsistencies, and when you see the suspect in real life, see how they behave. If you can do those 2 things, it should be easy. So you're gonna leave us because it's too easy? Kurosawa looked visibly ticked. Listen, Blue Ribbon Girl, if you focus more on finding the killer than on how you look, you'll stand a chance. After that remark, Konji left the room. Me and Yuuichi followed soon after. 1.3. After leaving class, I and Kiyotaka decided to go for a little walk before heading back to the dorms. So what is your plan? Kiyotaka asked while texting Hinami. Here's my plan. Time skip till after the conversation. That's exactly what I was thinking. Shiho and Hinami aren't gonna be happy, but oh well. By the time we finished our conversation, we arrived at the dorm. As I got into the lift, I got a text from Kushida. What does she want? I muttered to myself. During the last month, I've allowed her to rant to me, making her lower her guard around me. I opened the chat and saw the message. Open your door, DIP crap. Seems like she was already there. This time she's probably ranting about me. Is that text from? Kiyotaka looked over curious. Kushida, she's mad at me. Kiyotaka didn't seem surprised it was her. What's going on between you two? You two dating or something? I knew this would come up. I had told him about her originally, but forgot to add that I'm her little vent system. No. I'm like her little vent system, it's complicated. He didn't look convinced. Whatever you say, man. I heard on Reddit that crazy girls are the best or something. I punched him for that. Ding. The lift finally reached our level. As we stepped out, we both saw Kushida, who had a ticked look on her face, but quickly switched it because Kiyo is here. Hey, you guys. Her cute voice is annoying me. Especially after hearing her true voice, it annoys me. I'm going inside, don't forget training later. With that, Kiyotaka disappeared into his room. We decided to enter my room and relax. Once we were on the bed facing each other cross-legged, she decided to speak. The freak is his problem, gloomy crap. If only her mouth was as pretty as her looks. You two, what's your problem? She's probably talking about the exam. I just don't feel like participating. She looked agitated. Listen, you promised us you'll help our class. Why are you ditching us, you fraud? I'm a fraud now. You might want to watch your tongue when it comes to me. Remember, I'm the master, you're the servant. Never forget that. She looked startled by me deepening my voice. Sorry. Jerk. She whispered the last part so I couldn't hear it. In this last month, she's opened up a bit to me. She's more apologetic and knows her good place. So what did you want to talk about? She grabbed her hair and looked at me. You're planning something. I know you wouldn't leave those imbeciles out to dry. So tell me the plan, or am I not trustworthy? She was really eager. I honestly don't know what you mean, I said, staring into her eyes. She did the same to me. I bet if I was Hasuk-chan you would have told me. She pouted. She's cute whenever she pouts. I don't have a plan, plus you're more useful than her, so I wouldn't tell her. She knew I was lying but stopped since she wouldn't get anywhere by doing this. Pinky promise. This was tough. I don't ever break pinky promises. I got my pinky cut off, so I can't do that. I looked away, scratching my head. Pinky promise me, you jerk. She was ticked now. Don't forget your place. You don't demand anything here. She pouted again. Yeah, whatever. She got up and went into my kitchen. Honestly, how can you live on such a strict diet? She was talking about all the meat and vegetables I had stored. It's for my training, plus I'm used to it. She came back to my bed and sat on it. But it means I have nothing to drink or eat when I'm here. She took out a Kit Kat bar from her pocket and started eating it. It's my room. If you were my girlfriend then I could see a reason, but you're not. She then threw the wrapper at me. You're right, I would rather die than become your girlfriend. That was harsh. I picked up the wrapper and threw it into the bin next to me. You want me to be your girlfriend? Katagiri has a little crush. She said that last part in a mocking tone and then laughed at me. No, I don't. Your boobs aren't as big as Haruka, and your butt isn't as big as Shiho's in your fall. Smack. She smacked me across my face. She looked super ticked. I'm leaving now. Her voice was completely dark. I mean, I didn't say anything wrong, did I? 1. Wait, I have something to tell you, Kushida. She was about to leave, but I pinned her on my door. Ah. She was confused. I had completely cornered her. What are you gonna do, kiss me or something? She was looking me dead in the eyes. I was gonna say personality-wise you're the closest to me, and that's what makes you better than them. I wanted to mess with her head a bit. You know, Kushida, the more time I spend with you I feel like I'm falling for you. She was completely startled. Her eyes weren't meeting mine, so I grabbed her chin, making her face me. Wah. What do you mean? I mean, if you want, she was a blushing mess. When I see her like this, it makes you forget how cold she can be. She was extremely cute like this. I'm just joking, idiot. Your personality is like mine though. We kind of match. I left that last comment with her to see how she'll react. I hate you so much. Ugh. Move. She shoved me and left my room, slamming my door as she exited. She's more fragile than she lets on, I said, going to pick up my phone. Time to call Roku. Oh yes, Yuuichi, I was waiting for you to call. What's the plan? Seems like he was already waiting for me. That's good. Where are you right now? He sounded like he was outside or something of the sort. I'm in my room. It's probably my fan making all that noise. Now I'm listening, so make this short. Although he's cooperating, he likes for me to stay out of his way as much as possible, which was reasonable. So my plan is 1.4. This plan is similar to what I was gonna suggest, but what about Class B? Wouldn't they be upset? I've got Kiyotaka to tell Hanami a lie, so we're in the clear. After saying that, he laughed. D2 or something else, lying to his girlfriend so he can succeed. Does he really love the girl? Since they barely interact, Roku and Kyo's relationship was just that of acquaintances. You'll be surprised he does in his own little way. It's just that he values winning more than his relationship. Roku found this even more hilarious and laughed even more. He surely is competitive. Well, I'll handle my side of things. Alright, thanks, see you. Now with that done, the plan is underway. We both hung up and I decided I wanted to go for a little walk. I put on my casual clothes and left. I went onto the class group chat to see everyone panicking. Luckily the other 3 representatives were keeping it to a minimum. Yuyu. I saw Haruka running to me in her favorite hoodie I bought her 2 weeks ago. This caused her milkers to bounce while running. Ryu. You walk fast. She was out of breath. Maybe she can do cardio training. Haruka, what do you want to talk about? She came running here, so I assume she's here to talk to me about class. I just wanted to spend some time with you. Is it not allowed? She was pouting. How cute. No, I just thought you were gonna ask about class. She shook her head in response. You guys probably have some ultra smart plan, so I don't care about what you guys did in class. Once again Haruka believes in me without hesitation. This is why I like Haruka so much, and why she's gonna become one of my favorite pawns soon. Haruka, are you good at keeping secrets? She looked at me confused. For the most part, yo, why? I leaned into her ear and spoke. I'll tell you the plan if you will be my recon for the class. She looked at me shocked. This was the first part of my plan. Due to me, Kyo and Roku not being involved in the class discussions, I wanted someone to recon for me. And who's better than Haruka? Okay, I'll say tight-lipped. Anything for you, Yuyu. She smiled while saying this. I don't know entirely what that last part meant, but I'm not gonna push any further. Let's have a quick walk before I tell you your role. 1.5. The walk lasted 4 hours. By the time we got back, it was 8:45 p.m. That was a long walk, she said while grabbing my arm. In that walk, we walked mostly all around this so-called utopia. There were still places we were missing, but that's for another day. I explained to her her role in the plan and the importance it had. I told her I'll disclose the rest at a later date. Yeah, it was. I didn't know the campus was so big. It truly was something to behold. The amount of money that they put into it must have been in the tens to hundreds of billions yen. Well, I'm going up to my room now, see ya. She waved at me as she ran into the lobby. Now the last person I need to meet is... I heard a girl yell out to me. Yuuichi. It was Shiho. Hi Shiho. She ran up to me. It looked like she came from the direction of the school. I heard about you and Kiyotaka not participating. She looked a bit sad. Yeah, it's sad that we can't. Our lie was proving to work well. Well, that's a shame. Anyway, let's forget about that. How are you? She was playing with her hair while slightly blushing. I'm good, just got back from a walk. How are you? You're still in your school uniform. I could already guess it was student council work. It's crazy how much she does. Yeah, ha 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 ha. I want to gain the position of vice president next year. Right now me and Hanami are the only ones with the first year representative's role, so it can be easy for us to get vice president next year. She looked extremely determined. I'm glad you're doing what's necessary to get that position, but don't you think you're burning yourself out? She did look tired. Every day it's the student council this, student council that. I feel like they're overworking her. No, I'm fine, Yuuichi, trust me. She had a bright smile on her face and I didn't want to argue, so I let it go. Okay, well, that's good. Now on to why we met. She had a serious look on her face now. Class A, how do they operate? It seems like they have 3 leaders. Shinami Ike, Sakayanagi Urisu and Kahei Katsuragi. Sakayanagi seems to rule over it on the outside, but I heard Shinomiya is their true leader. As Kiyotaka guess. Thank you, this information was needed. That's what friends are for, right? She was right, this is the beauty of friendship. 4. Yeah, you're right, let's go inside now. We went into the lift and got off at our appropriate floors. Since it was time for training, I went straight to Kiyotaka's room. Knock knock knock. Coming. It was Hanami. Since last month she's been joining in our training. Although she doesn't learn things as quickly as me, she wasn't slow. She learned quite fast in fact. Hi Hanami, Yukio. I took off my shoes and we began training. During our training, Hanami needed the bathroom, so now was the best time to tell him. Your theory was right, I spoke in a low tone to not be heard. So Sakayanagi and Ryan are just pawns. I had a feeling. He got the memo and spoke low. 7. Although I don't think Ryan or Sakayanagi would like to be bossed around, so it might be a partnership like me and you. At this he fully understood. Someone capable enough to take the lead with someone even more fearsome at the back. I'm back. What are you two whispering about? Hanami was padding with her arms crossed. Nothing to worry about. Yuuichi was talking about how he wants a harem. Why did he throw me under the bus? Why you? I tackled him. After that training went as usual. Hey, last thing before I go. Kiyotaka turned to me. When are we gonna start my study sessions again? He looked at the ceiling and then answered. You're at second year high school level right now. There's no reason to continue till next semester. I had really grown that much in 2 months. That's great. Well, I'm going now, see ya. With that, I left his room and entered mine. I had my shower and then my smoothie. As soon as I got into bed I passed out. Tomorrow is where our plan will fully commence. Let's see if we can reach Class C in one go. I think you guys have had enough fun. I declared as I came around the corner. Instantly, Manab and her friends panicked. Let's go, guys. They dropped Kuruzawa and ran before I could say another word. You alright? Instantly she grabbed onto me. Thank you. She was crying. From this alone, it confirmed my suspicion that she had been bullied in the past. When someone experiences something bad for the first time they panic, but when Kuruzawa was in this situation she seemed like she knew what was to come. Her eyes became dead for a moment. Like she had re-entered the cycle she so desperately got out of. Kuruzawa, are you okay? She moved away from me and then got up. I'm fine, I've been through worse. She whispered the last part, but fortunately, I was able to hear it. Were you bullied in the past? She froze for a second and then nodded. Please keep this a secret, I don't want anyone knowing. So she suffers from the same thing Kushida does but in a different way. That's interesting. I will. Thank you so much, Ayanokoji. I felt like I should leave things as is, but then again my curiosity got the better of me. Hey Kuruzawa, can you tell me about your past? I grabbed her hand and sat her on a bench near the alleyway we came from. I'm sorry, it's just time to lie. Harada already told me the gist of things, I just wanted to get the full story from you. This was a lie, she didn't need to know it. Really? I told him not to tell anyone without my permission. She was in complete disbelief. I'm gonna assume you also know about our fake relationship too then, right? Fake relationship? I'm even more curious now. Yeah, he did. She looked confused. He only told me because he trusted me. An obvious lie again. 2. Well, if he trusts you then, I'll explain it in detail. She took a deep breath and then told me her full story. Her past was traumatic for an average middle schooler. And that's why I became Harada's girlfriend. I don't want that happening again. It was all because I had no status. She became what she most hated, but I'll let her figure that out by herself. I see. Well, I'll do my best to keep you from getting bullied, and I'll help you keep your identity as the killer's secret. Her eyes widened. How did you know? The way you reacted, it was like you knew, and I know everyone in our class hasn't figured out the teacher's biggest lie yet. What lie? Oh, really? I nodded. I see. It kind of makes sense now that I think about it. Yeah. Anyway, am I really that bad of an actor? Not really. Not everyone can mask a lie, I can't tell. MHM, okay. Kuruzawa pulled out her phone, but I stopped her. Were you going to text Harada? She nodded. Don't. I lied about him telling me anything. How did you figure it out? During that encounter, your eyes told me everything. She was once again shocked. You're a genius. Not really, but sure. You're really every girl's dream guy, handsome, strong and smart. I didn't know how to respond to that. I see. Hahaha. Alright, well, I'm leaving now, see you later. She stood up and then left. When she did though, her shirt revealed something I didn't expect to see. Hey Kuruzawa, is it a birthmark on your side? It looked more like a scar than a birthmark, but I decided to play it safe. While you saw it, please don't tell anyone. She ran over to me and then grabbed my hand. Why? Isn't it just a birthmark? It's not a birthmark, it's a scar, from when I used to get bullied. I see. I really need to get something to cover that more. Without her noticing, I began to touch it. It's a pretty scar, I don't think it's anything you should be ashamed of. No, don't touch it. She yelled while slapping my hand away. I'm sorry, I just really hate that scar. I see. Well, that's fine, I'll be leaving now, I got stuff to do. She nodded as I began to walk off. Ayanokoji, wait. Suddenly, she grabbed my arm. Can you promise me you'll never tell anyone about my scar? Yes, I can. Once she got confirmation, she let go of my arm, allowing me to leave. 2.5. After I was done with Kurosawa, my night was normal. I hung out with the Anakoji group, and then trained with Yuuichi and Hanami. Once everything was finished, it was 11 p.m. My night was practically complete. Now that I'm done with part 1 of the plan, I can move on to part 2. My target had locked onto Class A. My objective now was to protect Kei Kurosawa and find Class A's killer. Guess who exactly is Iori? This was a question that was on my mind all day and night yesterday. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I could tell she was no normal person, so what is she? At first glance, she's an elegant, silver-haired beauty who loves books. Then when you look deeper you find yourself lost. This was a new experience for me. Every other big player had this aura about them, but she doesn't. She seems to exist in the two worlds, half monster, half human. Or maybe she's so far above us we can't sense it. Well, I know one thing for sure, she's the killer. No doubt about it, her story matches up with her killing the guy. Since my only objective is complete, I'll find out who she really is. 3.2. Another morning, another struggle. I had morning wood again. It's been happening more frequently, especially with Hanami. I learned that if you leave it, it'll go down, so I'm just gonna leave it. Hanami, get out of my mind. I couldn't get it down. A couple of weeks ago Hanami took a shower here, and I accidentally walked in on her naked. The image of her naked body was printed perfectly into my memory. Where's the lotion? I'm now searching for the lotion. I need to be quick before training. After searching for a minute I found it and laid back down. I closed my eyes and got to work. 5 minutes later I was finished. I grabbed my tissue and wiped away my kids. 2. Sorry guys, you weren't chosen. I threw my kids in the bin. Doesn't that make me a murderer? I guess if you look at bacteria as living organisms, then we've been killing things since we were kids, right? Or what about the flies we splat? Or the insects we never see since we're too focused on something else to notice we took their life? I've been watching too much Parasite recently. I put my training clothes on and left. 3.3. I guess I should wake up now. It's 7 a.m. Normally I would get up earlier, but today I'm feeling lazy, so I'll get up now. My objective in the plan is to research Class B, which should be easy. This past week I haven't been bothered since I'll probably figure it out in a day. Class B isn't all that interesting, unlike Class C and A. They have no big bads or monsters, or to my knowledge at least. I'm estimating by the end of the year they'll be Class D, not that they're weak, it's just that we're too strong. Anyway, less about that, let me get ready. 3.4. It's lunchtime. Like usual I'm leaving this depressing class. I can't stand listening to their discussions. If you want to find out for yourself, just go look at how they behave when you ask about the exam. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I fancy a luxurious trip to an island, so I'll be doing my job quickly. As I was heading to the cafeteria I noticed a black-haired boy, or in this case senior. He gives off a weird vibe, but he's not troubling me, so I'll continue making my way elsewhere. Hey, Shinji-san. A girl yelled, running at him. So his name is Shinji, I'll remember that for later. Where's Class B? I was in the cafeteria now, all I needed to do was just see where Class B is. Since they're so united I would expect them to eat with each other. I decided I should ask this black-haired girl where they were. I've seen her come out of Class B a few times, so I guess she's a student there. Black-haired girl, where is the main body of your class? She looks startled by my fabulous appearance. Who are you calling black-haired girl? My name is Himeno Yuki. And why would I tell you that? She seems different to all those friendly parasites. Okay, Chabashira's daughter. I need to go there to tell the pink-haired girl that a Anakoji boy needs her help. She looks like Chabashira's relative, so I'll call her that. Ugh. Okay, Goldilocks, they're over there. Just cut out the name calling, it's Himeno. She pointed over to the table filled with at least 15 students. They stick out more than I thought they would. On another note, this girl, she's interesting. Here, have my number. You can show it off to your friends that such a beautiful man gave you his number. I gave out my business card and left. She clicked her tongue as I left. She's most likely the hard-to-get type. 1. Yeah, so I was about to score right in. You Class B, right? They all turned to face me. Look at them admiring my beauty. 2. Yeah, so what? Some short-haired girl retorted. Oh, aren't you Konji, nice to meet you. This was Anakoji's girlfriend. To be honest, the girl is beautiful. He is a lucky man if I do say so myself. Yeah. Well, I know you would love to sit there and bask in my perfection, but I have a question. They all seem to know what I was referring to. If it's about the exam, go away please. If I remember correctly, he's a murder suspect. His name is Kanzaki. Okay, Mr. Murder Suspect, I'll leave after my question. He seemed to be aggravated by this even more. Just leave, we're no. Don't worry, Kanzaki-san. Go ahead, Konji-kun. This pink-haired girl is truly something. Right, which one of you is the killer? Obviously, they weren't gonna say anything, but through body movements and facial expressions, I should be able to tell. Why would we answer that? That came from the storyboard. I was curious about something. On this table, all 3 murder suspects were present, Kanzaki, Amikura and Ando. This made my job 10x easier since I could view their reactions at once. Okay, I know who the killer is. Before they could say anything else, I turned around and left. The killer was Kanzaki. When I mentioned the killer, he flinched and his eyes whitened. It was for a second, but that's enough for me to know. 3.5. When exiting the cafeteria, I saw the Chabashira look-alike and decided to spy on her. I feel a weird attraction to her, so I'll explore it. She seemed to be wandering around aimlessly, with no real goal. I'm so sick and tired of that class. They're all so friendly. Seems like the friendliness has gotten to her. She turned another corner and then sat on a bench. She pulled out a lollipop and started sucking on it. Maybe I should appear. I thought for a moment, then appeared around the corner. What a surprise to see you here again. She looked quite angry. What do you want? Freak show, came to bother me again. She moved to the corner of the bench facing the opposite way. I have no business bothering you. She still didn't move from her prior position. Then go away. She's prickly. You're the odd one out in your class. At this, she turned around to me with an unpleasant look. You probably are as well, weirdo. When will the insults stop? You could say that, but at least I'm a leader of my class. They acknowledge my perfection. She started laughing. What's so funny? You have bird poop on your shoulder. Huh? I pulled out my mirror and, oh, this is definitely a tragedy. I want to kill that bird. Yeah, Mr. Perfection, it is a tragedy. She was still laughing. Okay, you can stop laughing now. I took off my blazer and put it beside me. Your nickname is Poop Man. In fact, let me save you on my phone as Poop Man. Dang you, bird. Yeah, whatever, I'll be going back now. She grabbed my shirt. Hey, before you go, what's your real name? She's interested now. Konji Rakisuke. She smiled and then let go. Bye, Konji. With that, I departed to get another blazer from my room. I'm gonna have to dry clean that one. Before I arrived at class, I texted the group chat. Class B equals Kanzaki Ryuji. Once I saw the 2 red receipts, I was able to put my phone away. So from what we've assessed, it could most likely be Ando and Emikura. They were talking about the murder cases. When I sat in my seat, I felt my phone buzz. I checked it and saw I got a text from an unknown number. I wonder if it's, hi weirdo, I know I barely know you and you're from another class, but I have to get something off my chest. Can I vent to you? She seems friendly now. Why not? I knew you couldn't get enough of my beauty. I know women love me, so it was no surprise she came around. No, I'm being serious. I'm just going through a lot. Please just don't tell anyone. Let this be our secret. I gain nothing from telling people. Sure, my floor is 5, and I live in room 514. It's where Koji lives. Thank you. Seems like my charms have worked again. This should be a good time to get some inside information about Class B for myself. If I do this well enough, she can be my pawn inside Class B. 5. Alright class, off your phones and let's start. Our English teacher had just entered the room. Time to do nothing for another couple of hours. 3.6. Tomorrow is Friday, meaning next week is our last week to guess the killers. I suggest everyone put their minds to it and come to a decision tomorrow or over the weekend for Class B. This came from the Horikita girl. Seeing them struggle like this is pitiful. It took me a day to figure out what took them a week. They might as well stop trying. As soon as she finished speaking, I left the class. I couldn't be bothered to hear their unnecessary chatter. Plus, I have important business to attend to. When I arrived in my room, I saw her standing there waiting. Now that I look at her properly, she is beautiful, I won't deny, and her legs are just as beautiful if not better. Sorry to keep you waiting, my lady. Yeah, whatever, open the door already. She looked annoyed at my antics. 1. I opened the door to my room. Why is your room so empty but fancy at the same time? I had nothing on my walls, just a nice luxurious carpet and fancy glasses in my cupboard. My bed was bigger than the average bed since I requested a king bed, and my dining table was glass with nice chairs along with it. As she said, empty but fancy. It's my style. So you're an empty guy who's fancy, makes sense. Will she ever stop with these cruel remarks? We take off our shoes and I hand her slippers while putting on mine. Go sit on my bed and wait. If you want tea or anything, ask me. Yeah, can I have coffee? She sat on my bed getting comfortable. You know it's not good for you. I would rather have her drink herbal tea, but that can't be helped. I don't care, just make it. I put on the kettle and prepared the teacups. These teacups cost 2,000 points each, but they were very nice. Before we continue or anything, why are you so, how do I put it, fancy? And now my family situation has come up. Search Konji Industries on your phone and you'll get your answer. I heard her tap away at her phone and then make a dissatisfied sound. Cool, you're rich, you're like the stereotype for rich people. I thought she'll be excited and blown away by it. She surely is different. You're not blown away. I brought her drinks and set them on the table next to my bed. No, I don't really care, money and all that doesn't bother me. It's about the actual person, and it seems like you let it all get to your head. I felt my eye twitch slightly at this. I accepted that maybe I view myself too highly after the confrontation with Yuuichi, but I don't think I've matured from it that much. I mean, I still call myself the perfect human. Alright, what specifically would you change about me? She looked at me dead in my eyes and shrugged. I don't know, you're like a kid who's in an adult's body. There we go again. What's with this female? Does she not care that I'm sitting in front of her? That's not the first time I've heard that remark. I decided to laugh it off, but she continued. No, I'm being for real, you need to mature. I know I don't know that much, but you give off such an immature vibe. She must have been sent by Yuuichi, there's no way she's saying this by herself. What's your deal, woman? She continued to stare at me. Did I say something that upset you? If so, then it's most likely true. Looking away, she grabbed her coffee and began drinking it. Anyway, less on you. Sip, I'm here to rant. After she uttered those words, she went on and on about her class and trivial stuff. On the surface, she's an unpleasant beauty, but inside she's just a loner who wants to be left alone. I would be lying if I listened all the way through, but I listened enough to get the gist of things. She was now at my door putting her shoes on. She turned to me and said, now you better keep your promise. If you're lucky, you may even become my friend one day. Friend, how funny. I decided to tease her and get up from my bed and trap her against my door. I'll take it one step forward and become your husband. She was completely flustered. In your dreams, anyway, can you get off me? I want to leave. She's a tough one to crack. I'm just joking, Himeno girl, you can leave now. She pouted and left. She's bizarre but blunt, I need someone like her in my life. When I went back to my bed to sit back down, there was one thing that she said that stuck in my mind throughout the whole conversation, and that was my immaturity. I thought I accepted when Yuuichi pointed it out, but did I really? To me, my immaturity was people not understanding me, but that girl made it apparent that wasn't so. Unlike most people lower than me, she didn't care about my status and told it to me straight. She didn't care how high above her I was, she didn't care about anything. To her, I'm just another human. Is it her charm? What made me feel pain when she uttered those words? It wasn't like Yuuichi where he psychologically played with me, she was upfront. 1. Do I love that girl? No, that's not possible. It would take more time for me to love someone. Maybe because she reminds me of my mother. I need to stop stressing, it'll ruin my beautifulness. 3.7. Thanks for having me around, Yuyu. I had invited Haruka over to spend some time with her. Aside from her complete obedience to me, we have a good bond. 3. No problem, Haruka, wanna watch something? She had taken her shoes off and ran to my bed with her bag in hand. Yeah, let's continue watching Death Note. She was currently laying inside my bed with her snacks in hand. 1. Okay, let me grab a banana quickly. I went to my kitchen but was stopped by her. Come on, just have at least one cheat day. I'm pretty sure your metabolism isn't that slow. She's right, this is gonna be my only cheat day for the whole year. Yeah, you're right. I went back to my bed and hopped in beside her. She began to cuddle me. From a stranger's point of view, we looked like a couple about to enjoy an anime, but in reality, we're two friends enjoying an anime. You smell nice. She smelled of hair products, the nice ones though, not the smelly ones. Thank you, you do too. I smell incense since all I do is burn them. Also, why haven't you decorated your room? It's so bland. Come on, Yuyu, get creative. I have nothing to put in here. She changed her position to face me. We were now inches away from each other. Yes, you do. Put posters up of things you like. I'll get around to it someday. She stared at me for a few seconds, then began to talk again. Yeah, whatever you say. She uttered while kissing my cheek, blushing a tiny bit. What was that for? Haruka went back to laying on my chest, grabbing another chocolate. I felt like doing it. She has been doing this a lot recently. Maybe it's her way of showing affection to her friends, but I don't remember her doing it to Kido or even Kiyotaka. Strange. When it reached 8:45 p.m. she left, allowing me to train with Kiyotaka and Hanami. 3.8. I still couldn't get what that girl said to me out of my head, along with her face. What's wrong with me if something is wrong? I mean, yeah, I am a narcissist who loves himself. But if you were like me, who wouldn't? Isn't it natural? Am I weird? I need to get some sleep. I turned off my light and then got back into bed. By the morning it'll all be gone. Son, you need to grow up, stop with this spoiled behavior. Rakisuke, you haven't matured, you're still a child. You don't deserve the Konji surname, you're just Rakisuke to me. You need to mature, you're like a child in an adult's body. Arg. Waking up in a cold sweat, Konji gripped his head as every dream he had that night ended with the exact words Katagiri had spoken to him. Do I really need to mature? He thought out loud. What do I need to change? My outlook on life. My perception of people. My perception of myself. What is it? The blonde-haired boy questioned with a remorseful look on his face. A minute had passed and Konji reached over for his phone. There was only one person he could consult about this. Woman, what should I change about myself? Why are you texting me this? It's the first thing in the morning. Konji kissed his teeth at this text but still persisted. Don't worry, just tell me. Asking for help wasn't one of his strong suits, but for now, he knew how to bury his pride and asked. Your perception of people and yourself and outlook on life from what I know. How do I change it? Dude, just figure it yourself, this girl, he scoffed. You can't leave me hanging like that. Tell me now, woman. Christ. Alright, the best thing I can say is this: when making decisions, think about other people's feelings and how they'll react. Also, know your limits and be a realist. If you can do those things, then you'll mature. Although that wasn't the best advice he could have gotten, Konji was smart enough to know what she meant by it. Thank you. No worries. 4.2. Is this gonna become a daily thing? Snuggled up in bed, a blonde-haired demon slept soundly. Come on, let's go. The black-haired teen ordered. Kick your let's go, come on. He tried again, but there was no response. Nudging her a few times, Katagiri got tired and placed her on the floor. A few moments later she woke up. Why am I on the floor? She yelled. You wouldn't wake up, so I decided this would be the best way. Immediately, Kushida stuck her face in Katagiri's. Why are you in your towel, perv? I just finished showering. Whatever, I'm going to do my morning routine, do not peek. Without wasting another second, Kushida walked into Katagiri's bathroom, slamming the door behind her. Why does she have her honesty partially unzipped? Is she trying to seduce me? Katagiri mumbled as he took off his towel. Unfortunately, wasn't the correct move. Oh yeah, I'm freaked. Katagiri thought. Why the freak is it out? Kushida yelled as she covered her eyes. I don't know, maybe I'm getting changed. Yuuichi, you pervert. Kushida exclaimed before she slammed his bathroom door. Stupid bench, maybe if you didn't sleep with your pajamas half done so I can see your boobs I wouldn't be hard. Katagiri thought out loud. He was slowly starting to regret his decisions last night. Once Katagiri was finished changing and halfway through eating my breakfast, Kushida finally came out of my bathroom. She had transformed into her school uniform, which didn't surprise the boy, since he witnessed her leave a pink bag in his bathroom. If I had to speculate, it most likely had her, a toothbrush, a towel, a change of clothes and some soap. Kikyo, I don't want to talk about it, all I know is that you're not human. Why aren't I human? She sighed in response to his naive question. You're my mini-me. Yes, that thing. The black-haired boy laughed. Is it really that big? I mean, me and Kiyotaka had the same size, so I just before he could finish, she cut him off. You two aren't human. I feel sorry for poor Ichino-san. She doesn't know what she's gotten herself into. That doesn't answer my question though. The answer is yes, it's big, far too big. I think you're part horse. No, I'm fully human. Walking over to the table, she sat next to him, taking a piece of meat off of his plate. Hey. Sticking the whole thing in her mouth, she swallowed it whole. I feel like there's a secret message behind what you just did. There was. Kushida giggled. What was it? That's a discussion me and you will get around to one day. What do you mean by that? Don't worry. She playfully sighed. Anyway, when are you gonna stop sleeping over? I don't know, as long as I don't get caught. This is starting to become a pain in the butt. I don't mind her company, but what if someone finds out? Katagiri thought to himself. You're going to be sleeping on your own for the rest of the week. No? Yes you are, let's not forget who your master is. In response to this, Kushida pouted and then stroked Katagiri's hair. You have such nice hair, you should look after it better. I keep forgetting to buy hair products, so I just use whatever I can to wash my hair. If you're so fascinated by it, why don't you look after it? Katagiri suggested. Yeah sure I can do that, just keep that monster or whatever in your towel while we wash it. Why is she talking about it again? That should be easy. Smiling, Kushida stood up. Well, I gotta go now, everyone's starting to leave, and I don't want to be caught, so I'll see you at SCHOOL. There she goes again in that high-pitched butt voice. Katagiri thought to himself as Kushida left his dorm. If she's gonna keep coming over I'm gonna need a bigger bed, I'll order a double bed at lunch. Finishing his breakfast, the teen made his way over and sat on his bed. It smells of her sniff, she smells nice. He commented. 4.3. The class went how it usually goes for Anakoji, boring. Both Konji and Katagiri had finished their parts of the plan, so now it was time for him to step up and do his part. Anakoji had already found his class's killer, next was for him to find Class A's killer. Flashback, here's my plan, I'll have you find our killer in Class A's. I'll do Class C and Rakisu Class B. While we do this we should discover the inner workings of each class. If we do this, beating them now and in the future should be easy. Also when you figure out our killer tell me, and I'll have someone become a decoy. End of flashback. Due to the way Kushida's been acting, Anakoji could tell that Katagiri had already spoken to her and chosen her to become the decoy. Lunch had arrived and Anakoji had something he had to take care of before he could begin his investigation. Making his way to the special building, realizing he came a bit too early, he sat next to the building and then took out his phone. As he began to open up the manga app on his phone, he heard footsteps approaching him. Well, if it isn't my childhood friend. A small, delicate, snow-haired girl called out. Hello, Sakayanagi. Anakoji greeted, returning to his feet. In front of him was the princess of his year. How harsh, Anakoji-kun, you can't even give your childhood friend a hug? She questioned. Next to the girl stood a purple-haired and eyed girl. You keep calling me your childhood friend as if we grew up together. Not appreciating this statement, Sakayanagi shot him a glare. Masumi, I dismiss you, I'll give you a call when this meeting is over. And if you eavesdrop I'll have you expelled. That's harsh. Anakoji thought. Oh okay. Immediately, Sakayangi's companion left, which left her and him alone. So Anakoji-kun, how are you? She asked as she walked into the building. I'm good, how are you, Sakayangi? Anakoji returned, following closely behind her. No honorifics I see, well I'm doing well. When they entered one of the many abandoned classrooms, she walked over to the nearest pulled-out chair and pulled it out to sit on it. Honorifics are useless unless you're addressing someone older than you or superior. Surprisingly, Sakayangi giggled and then tapped his chest with the end of her cane. You know you could get yourself into a lot of problems if you don't use them. I don't really care. How nonchalant. She giggled once more. Well, what did you call me out here for? Why did you say those letters to me? Fufu, that's what you're worried about. I see. Well, you don't have to worry, I won't tell anyone about that place. So she does know about that place. What should I do? These classes have no cameras. Should I threaten her? Ayanokoji thought to himself. How can I trust you? Ayanokoji-kun, if I wanted to cause havoc I would have already. All I want to do is face you in a battle and see if you live up to the hype. Realizing that she was telling the truth, Ayanokoji wanted to address the battle part. And how can we do that? You're crippled. Physical activities aren't always the best way to gauge one's abilities. Personally, I had an exam that focuses on the brain. She retorted. How do we know an exam like that will ever come up? I'm the chairman's daughter, so I know at least once in our 3 years here we'll have an opportunity to do that. Bingo. Ayanokoji had a lingering thought that Sakayangi was related to the chairman, but he didn't want to go around claiming that to be the case with zero evidence. I see. Why would you tell me such valuable information so willingly? I know your biggest secret, you know one of mine's simple trade. She replied, giving him a devilish smile. Okay, fair enough. Another quick question, why do you call me your childhood friend? Many years ago, I saw you playing chess through a glass window when we were kids. Ever since then, I felt like we had a little connection. She explained with a small smile. Okay, well, I got my answers. I'll be leaving now. Getting out of his chair, Ayanokoji made his way over to the door, but was stopped by Sakayangi tugging his sleeve. We're not done yet. The tone of her voice was dark. What else is there to talk about? What's your opinion on Shinomiya-kei? I haven't talked to him before so I can't say much. Sakayangi sighed. All I can say is watch out for him. She warned, leaving her seat with the support of her cane. Anyway, I think it'll be best if we were to leave now. I don't want anyone getting the wrong idea. Sakayangi sheepishly chuckled. Yeah, we should. Ayanokoji thought to walk ahead, but he didn't want to be disrespectful, so he walked alongside her until they arrived at the exit. Arriving at the exit, Ayanokoji spotted 2 male students next to Masumi. Who are those 2? He asked. That is Kido Hayato and on his left is Hashimoto Masayoshi. And you're already acquainted with Kamuro Masumi. I see, so this is class A. The stoic student thought. My queen, the king has told you not to engage with any enemy classes. Hashimoto reminded. Don't worry, he is my childhood friend, Sakayangi reassured. You guys must be Sakayangi's classmates, nice to meet you. Ayanokoji greeted, sticking his hand out. Reluctantly, Hashimoto shook his hand while the rest didn't. Konami said I should be more friendly, but this is what I get. I should stick to how I usually act. Ayanokoji thought to himself. Come on guys, go shake his hand. Hashimoto insisted. Fine, whatever. Kamuro sighed as she grabbed his hand and shook it. Next was Kido and he shook it without saying anything. He wasn't a suspect in the first place, so Ayanokoji didn't pay too much attention to him. Ayanokoji did note that he had rough hands, which meant he was used to some sort of physical labor. From his reaction, it seemed like Hashimoto could have been the killer, but he put that thought to the side until he met Tetsuka Yahiko. Only then he could make his final decision. Well, I'll be leaving now, bye. Bye. Sakayangi waved. 4.5. Is she still tailing Yahiko? Yeah, I'll send her location. Looking around and then back at his phone, he saw that the location had been sent, and then began to make his way over to it. Arriving at his destination, Ayanokoji saw a bald student talking to a green-haired student. Taking the bold approach, the brown-haired boy strolled over to the 2 students, beginning a conversation between them. Yo, are any of you 2 Yahiko Tetsuka? Both of them turned to him with bothered looks on their faces. Yes, I am. What do you want? The boy questioned with a startled look on his face. I just wanted to check out the murder suspect, that's all. Yahiko's eyes widened. So you've come to harass us, is that it? Leave me alone. The boy yelled, agitated. Yahiko-kun, calm down. The shiny-headed student warned. But all day we've been getting harassed. I'm just at that moment. Ayanokoji understood everything he needed to. Calm down, don't worry. I'll be leaving now. Ayanokoji stated as he walked away from the 2 students. Good, and don't bother me again. He yelled while Ayanokoji left their sight. Once he was a safe distance away, Kiyotaka began to whisper to himself. Such an obvious act. He mumbled. Whenever someone is guilty they tend to act irrationally. Yahiko fit that description perfectly, but unfortunately for him and that worked against him. I expected Class A to do something like this. It would be disappointing if they couldn't. After meeting all the murder suspects, I've come to the conclusion that Hashimoto is the killer. His sweaty palms and twitching lips gave everything away. Seems like they discovered what the lie was too. When the teachers first gave the students a rundown on the exam, they said this. Flashback. If you tell any of your classmates that you are the killer, you will be expelled. End of flashback. Ayanokoji had figured out that this was a test to see if they could see through deception or pick up on the wordplay. I should notify Hanami about it. I don't want her dropping to Class D. If he didn't act now, his soon-to-be girlfriend would drop to Class D. Since they would be using Kushida as a protective barrier, he had full faith in her abilities to keep all of the other classes focused on her. Taking out his phone, he shot a text to his girlfriend, telling her to come over after school. 4.6. School had ended quite some time ago, and Ichinus was about to leave Ayanokoji's room when a demon entered his head. As she reached for the handle to open his door, he snuck up behind her, grabbing her small waist from behind. "Hey Kiyotaka, what's wrong?" Immediately, Ichinus turned red as her soon-to-be boyfriend stuck his nose into her hair, smelling it. Unfortunately for Ayanokoji, Horikoji had taken control and made Kiyotaka do questionable things. Luckily, Ayanokoji regained control and backed away from his girlfriend. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Before he could explain himself, she turned around and kissed him. "It's fine Kiyotaka, it's natural for your hormones to do that. Plus I liked it so you don't need to worry." She sheepishly smiled. "I know, maybe next time I should." Before he could ramble on anymore, she put her index finger on his lips. "Don't worry about it, I'm aiming to become your girlfriend, so you're allowed to do that stuff to me whenever you want. Just don't do it outside where there's a bunch of people." She giggled. "I'm just not used to this, it's like a demon enters your brain. Yeah, I know us girls get it too. I have it all the time when I'm around you," she admitted. "If you ever want help with something down there, I can always help." She grinned while pointing to the print in his pants. "Sometimes it gets really bad, but I don't want you to think I'm only using you for that." She giggled again. "You stress too much, that's why you're gonna get gray hairs soon. For the last time, I'm aiming to become your girlfriend, so I've already accepted that I will need to do stuff like that," she reassured. "Anyway, thanks for the information as well, but we already knew about it. I guess I underestimated you." "Yeah, you did. You shouldn't underestimate someone who's going to surpass you," she stated with a proud smile on her face. "Yeah, you're right," he agreed. "Alright, I have to go now. See you later Kiyotaka." 4.7. What the heck is she? Katagiri stated as he began to become even more frustrated. It was the first time in his life that he had trouble reading someone. "It's driving me insane. What is so different about Shiina Hiyori? Why was she so unreadable but readable? Simple but complex. Common but unique." Those sentences passed through Yuuichi's brain. "Yuuichi, calm down," he told himself as he rocked back and forth on his bead. "Knock knock knock. Who the heck is it?" The boy snarled, walking over toward his door. "Oh hey, Yuyu. Oh, it's Haruka," he thought. "Hi Haruka. Yuyu, why do you have black rings around your eyes?" Last night Katagiri didn't sleep. Shiina Hiyori remained on his mind all night, which disabled his ability to sleep. "I didn't get much sleep last night. What you stressed about?" she asked, stepping into his room while taking off her shoes. "Nothing really. You got a new bed. It looks so comfy," she yelled as she jumped onto it. "But seriously Yuyu, if anything's stressing you out, tell me." "Thanks, Haruka, I will if anything is." Getting off his bed, Haruka kissed him on the cheek. "You should learn to rest, you know, like making up all these plans, training constantly on your days off and even carrying our class to Class A. You need to relax. Take a break, like an actual one for once," she scolded. "It makes me worried when I see you like this." Hassan began to tear up but wiped the tears away. "When I got the message saying I got into this school, I made a promise to myself. That promise was to never regret anything and become something my mother wanted me to become. Me taking days off will only slow it down. I'll only rest once I've achieved everything." Hearing his words, Haruka yanked his top to make him eye level with her. "You idiot, if you're going to push yourself to achieve all of these things, at least allow me to help in more areas. Also, you should get more sleep Yuuichi." Katagiri's eyes widened as he heard Hassan call him by his first name. "I will Haruka, don't worry," he reassured her. "Anyway, wanna continue watching Death Note? I think L might beat Light. Light's the main character, he'll definitely win." Yeah, whatever." 4.8. So you want to change yourself?" a purple-eyed girl asked. "Yes, and since you sparked this I wanted you to help me." She laughed at the boy's request. "I'm like a big-time loner, how can I help? You were the one who pointed it out to me." This aggravated the boy. "Well, I can tell you one thing, you're already changing." Konji's demeanor shifted at that comment. "Am I really? You have 2 or 3 days ago wouldn't have asked for help, which means you're already maturing. It seems like I'm a natural at this. This is great." The boy celebrated. "Anyway, is there anything else you wanted to talk to me about?" she asked as she looked down at her phone, checking the time. "Do you want to become my wife when I mature?" Instantaneously, the girl chuckled at Konji's proposal. "I'm being serious here." "Yeah, that's what's so funny." She continued to laugh. "Never in a million years, you weirdo. Don't worry, you'll succumb to my beauty eventually," the boy assured as he flaunted his slick golden hair. "Yeah, whatever, you're funny, you know that." Himeno smiled. "I know, back in my heyday they used to call me Roku the Joker." At this remark, Himeno busted into laughter again. I can see why you clown," she mocked. "Okay, let's go lady, I've had enough of your antics." Picking her up, Konji walked over to his door and placed her on the floor. "Why the heck are you so strong?" she asked, looking at the boy in awe. Maybe if you weren't so lazy, you could have similar strength. Whatever. She sighed. Himeno slipped on her shoes and then opened Konji's door. Alright, I'm leaving now, bye. Before Konji could reply, she had already disappeared. 4.9 Katagiri Yuuichi. It's been a long time, hasn't it? A shadowy figure grinned while he held a picture of Yuuichi reading. I'll have fun reminding you of our past when we next see each other. The crazed look crept onto the teen's face as he imagined Yuichi's demise. 4.10 Alright class, how's everyone feeling? Chabashiro-sensei asked. Groans echoed throughout the room. Sensei, most of us aren't in the mood, can we just get the vote over and done with? Ike asked with a look of annoyance on his face. The majority of his classmates shared the same sentiment. Just 10 minutes prior, Ayanokoji, Konji and Katagiri had confessed to working behind the scenes. Everyone in the class asked us why they did what they did, and the three boys told them the truth, which was, to see how far they can progress without them. To be honest, they did well, but in the end, they were still needed. They were able to figure out Class B and C's, but A's were inconspicuous until we broke it down to them. Okay, let's get this over and done with now. Raise your hand if you think Class A's killer is Kamuro Masumi. No one raised their hand. Raise your hand if you think it is Hashimoto Masayoshi. Everyone's hand shot up. Okay, time for Class B. Raise your hand if you think the killer is Kanzaki Ryuji. Everyone's hand shot up. Okay, last one. Raise your hand if you think the killer is Ishizaki Daichi. No one raised their hand. Next, Kaido-san. Same result as last time. So I'm gonna automatically assume you all think it's Shiina Hiyori. They all nodded their heads. After a minute of silence, Sensei smiled. You got them all right, I'm surprisingly proud of you guys. The majority of the class had shocked faces. Their stone cold teacher finally showed them that she had emotions. For the results of other classes, you guys should wait another hour for it to be posted in the school bulletin. Sweet. The class celebrated. Imagine if we go straight up to Class C. Satu wondered. That'll be so cool. After 10 minutes of celebrating, Chabashiro-sensei slammed her hands onto the podium. Listen up everyone, it seems like we got the results early, so I'll be writing the results on the board. Calming down, the class sat there in anticipation. So to start off, Class A plus 75 points, they guessed Class B and C, but missed Class D. They were guessed by Classes C and D, but missed by B, so they gained plus 75 points, putting them at 1150. They're so far above us. That was true, Class A almost seemed unobtainable. Next is Class B. Plus 75 points. They guessed everyone but were unfortunately guessed by everyone else. They now have 870 points. Chabashiro paused for a moment before continuing. Right, so Class C. They were guessed by everyone but guessed everyone else. They gained plus 75 points, putting them at 652 points. Chabashiro took her final breath as she began to explain their points. Now the time, you guys. Class D. You gained 250 points, you guessed every other class, but were guessed by C and B. You guys are now at 542 points. The whole class erupted in cheers. Woohoo. Pseudo celebrated, jumping out of his seat. Quieten down, you mad apes, she yelled. The whole class froze and then returned to their seats. Now obviously you didn't overtake Class C, but at this rate, you'll do so very soon. She flashed the class an extremely rare smile. That meant they were doing something right. Anyway, before I leave you guys, yes, you will be going on the cruise in the island, so if I were you, I would start packing because we're leaving tomorrow. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. Exiting the class quickly, Chabashiro left the class to their own devices. Tomorrow, I need to get my swimsuit. Girls were doing a shopping spree. And just like that, the class went into chaos, while two raven-haired students talked. You guys did well without us. Katagiri congratulated. Horikita ignored him by sticking her face into the book she was reading. Alright, I'm sorry for lying to you, but you and Kushida make a pretty good team. He defended. Whatever, I'm just upset that you didn't tell me about your plan. She sighed, taking her head out of her book. I just wanted to see how you would perform as the class leader. And did I do good? She questioned as she flashed her compass. If I'm being honest, yeah, you did well. There are a few flaws, but it can definitely change in the near future. She took offense to this. So I'm not smart enough. No, it's more like you need to accept help more. Happy with his response, Horikita retracted her compass. I see. It'll come in due time, don't worry. He reassured. To make the process quicker, you could always study the human psyche, Katagiri suggested. 1. Okay. She uttered as she wrote down Katagiri's words. Do you have any books that I could learn from? He shook his head. No, I learned it from my father, but you're really into books, so you should find some. He answered. 1. Okay, I'll look into it when I have time. I don't feel well, so I'm going back now. Without saying another word, Horikita left the rowdy classroom. 4.11 Once Ayanokoji got home, he shot Hanami a text, who replied with a blurred-out picture saying, "Surprise for the beach." The teenage boy slightly grinned at the thought of his voluptuous girlfriend in a swimming suit. Pass kosu. This chapter is done. As usual, I feel like I went a little fast-paced, but it is what it is. When I come back and edit this series one day, I'll perfect it then. Next is Vol 3. It won't be as long as the others, but it'll be something for you guys to read. Anyway, sleep is calling me. Bye.